At the Espers Academy, the atmosphere was buzzing as everyone hurriedly prepared for the awakening contest. Yet the protagonist Ning Feng remained unbothered, eyes glued to the screen, engrossed in practicing a game. Confident in his overwhelming advantage, he was sure victory was in hand, but just as he was about to finish off his opponent, a figure suddenly lunged forward. "Oh you!" Ning Feng's close friend, wordlessly delivered a slap so striking it left his face a blur. Standing with her arms crossed, Wang Du glared sternly, her voice cold. "Ning Feng, what are you doing? The awakening exam is about to start, aren't you going to prepare? You're hiding here playing games." Under her scrutinizing gaze, Ning Feng hung his head, forcing a wry smile. "Playing games is part rest, part study. Besides, I'm 18, at most I'll awaken to a mundane, 1- or 2-star vocation. Unlike the young Miss Wang, who awakened a 5-star vocation at 15, why should I suffer? Later I can just flatter her, can't I?" Ning Feng's bored, slightly lazy words made Wang Du frown, anger flaring. Without hesitation, she stepped forward, seized his collar, and gave him a lesson he wouldn't forget. Wang Du's arrival immediately drew every nearby student's attention. They whispered and gossiped, eyes glittering with admiration. Could that be the goddess Wang? She must have just returned from special training. Awakened to a 5-star vocation at 16, such a genius hadn't appeared in the province for years. Beautiful, prominent family, high talent, why such disparity between people? Yet they couldn't help but stare at Ning Feng. Why was the goddess Wang beside that infamous trash across the school? Almost 18 and still not awakened. They said they were childhood sweethearts, but how could an orphan like Ning Feng be worthy of the goddess Wang Qi? In Lam Star, a world-blending game and reality, the 2025 National Awakening Adventure Contest was in full swing at 7th Middle School. Anyone 16 or older had the chance to awaken an ability and become an adventurer. At that moment, all contestants had gathered to hear the rules. Under Wang Du's insistence, Ning Feng showed up though his face clearly displayed boredom. He muttered inwardly, wondering why she was so stubborn. "I've been here 3 times already, isn't this just for rookies?" Contestants formed 2 neat lines, waiting for their names to be called to enter the measurement area. Those who awakened successfully would receive a basic equipment set matching their vocation, ready for the live test. While queuing with the others, Ning Feng kept his indifferent expression, lazily watching the crowd. Murmurs and chatter rose non-stop. One excited voice said, "I hope I awaken as a mage." Another laughed loudly, enthusiastic, "I prefer a strength vocation, men should face things head-on." A different voice added admiringly that a nimble vocation was cool, able to eliminate foes unseen. Then someone burst out laughing, teasing, "You guys don't get it, the homemaker vocation is the best." It was Ning Feng from Class 12A2's turn to step onto the measurement platform. At his sight, the crowd erupted in ridicule and sharp taunts. "Hey, isn't this the senior from grade 12? The legendary figure who shadows goddess Wang Du, so formidable. And yet, 18 and still not awakened. What if he never awakens? Truly useless." The examiner, Qi Vai, looked at Ning Feng with a gentle smile and a soft voice meant to soothe, "No need to be nervous. When you're ready, begin, press your hand on the spirit stone and relax your mind." Ning Feng placed his hand on the spirit stone, and the stone immediately emitted a faint glow. The surrounding crowd held its breath, eyes fixed on him, eager to see what power he would awaken. Qi Vai watched intently, secretly hoping Ning Feng would achieve a miracle. The light from the spirit stone slowly shifted into a brilliant blue, the sign of the arcane system. The entire hall buzzed, eyes glittering with expectation, waiting to see how many stars his vocation would be. After a few tense seconds, the result appeared on the spirit stone. Awakened, 1 star, the skill acquired was Nei Geo technique. Qi Vai frowned slightly, a hint of disappointment in her eyes. 1 star, far too ordinary compared to her expectations for Ning Feng. Meanwhile, his classmates erupted in mocking laughter, having expected a heaven-defying fate but getting only 1 star. "Get down, you're embarrassing yourself standing there." Another joined in with a sneer. "A star is a star, does he really think he can turn into gold?" Yet Ning Feng stood motionless, expressionless, as if the taunts were just wind. Seeing him frozen, Ki-Vi tilted her head and spoke gently, "What skill did you awaken?" But he seemed not to hear, his gaze vague and lost. Only when she asked a second time did Ningfeng startle, his face briefly dazed. Seeing this, Ki-Vi couldn't help but feel sorry, thinking he must be severely shaken by such a mediocre awakening result. With an encouraging look, she handed Ningfeng the basic equipment and softly said, "Change quickly and proceed to the next challenge." Taking the gear, Ningfeng walked away, still stunned and wondering if he'd misheard earlier. But the memory of his hand touching the spirit stone remained vivid. A mysterious voice whispered in his ear, coldly announcing that the host had completed awakening and met the conditions to activate the system. System activated successfully, the host acquired the passive ability Dark Primal Motion, received a mysterious bonus, passive skill Dark Motion of Heaven. When using forbidden incantations, you will be exempt from all costs demanded by dark power. By this mysterious passive gift, your forbidden incantation can be cast once per week without consumption. Ningfeng flinched. Dark power, the most taboo evil force in the world. Forbidden incantations and the highest level sorcery were things he had never dared to dream of. What was this system? Why was it linked to him? The voice continued, detecting the Nei Geo technique and beginning a metamorphosis. When the transformation completed, Nei Geo technique had blackened into the forbidden incantation body of corrupt earth. A darkened forbidden incantation. Ningfeng felt a chill run down his spine. Despite his worry, he told himself it would be fine. The live combat test was ahead. Stay calm. After testing, contestants were divided into groups of 50 to enter the trial dungeon and familiarize themselves with their newly awakened skills. Everyone had to fight monsters alone, no teaming up or attacking other contestants. Drones would monitor the entire process. Before they began, Ki-Vi smiled reassuringly, "Don't worry, others won't see your skills." For Jiao Ningfeng, his skill was recorded as active, body of corrupt earth, forbidden dark summoning. Dark power from another world is summoned to form a protective shield while crushing any enemy who dares approach. Entering the trial dungeon, while everyone else charged and full of fighting spirit, Ningfeng remained mired in anxious thoughts about his forbidden dark incantation. He felt heavy with worry. If this was evil sorcery and someone discovered it, he'd be finished. He gritted his teeth and cursed the system inwardly, "You damn thing, explain yourself." But only an eerie silence answered, no reply at all. With no other option, Ningfeng reluctantly stepped into the dungeon, full of unease and completely ignorant of his forbidden dark incantation. Inside the trial dungeon, the air seethed as contestants faced off against savage monsters. Each strike rang out violently, the beasts' roars mixing with the fierce shouts of the contestants. Jiao Ningfeng quietly hid behind a dense bush, watching his surroundings with cautious eyes. The patrol drones hovering overhead kept him from daring to use the forbidden incantation. With no other way to attack, he murmured, "Better to hide and wait for an opportunity." Through the surveillance feed, Captain Chu frowned when he noticed Ningfeng just sitting still while the other contestants fought vigorously. He turned to Ki-Vi, skeptical, "Why is Ningfeng just sitting there?" Ki-Vi sighed softly, a touch of pity in her eyes, and defended him. "That kid awakened a bit late and isn't very healthy. His active skill is a defensive magic, not suitable for solo combat." Hearing this, Captain Chu snorted, displeased. "If he's a one-star vocation, he's unfit to be an adventurer, pull him out, no need to continue the test." But at that moment, an unexpected incident occurred. A strange burst of power erupted in the trial dungeon, striking a surveillance drone and causing it to crash. The monitor feed glitched and the signal cut out. The measurement system suddenly issued an alert, detecting power fluctuations far beyond the average values in the dungeon. Before they could react, more drones were knocked down. Before they could react, additional drones fell. From the darkness, a gigantic monster emerged, its overwhelming presence making the contestants tremble. A nearby guy's legs went limp, he collapsed, unable to stand. This beast's terrifying form marked it clearly as the leader of the creatures in the dungeon. It roared, a deep hoarse sound echoing as it commanded the monsters around it. "Rise up, refuse to be enslaved any longer. Ensure every one of these invaders is buried here," it decreed. Swift as lightning, it swung its arm, smashing the surveillance drone, sending it crashing down right in front of Ningfeng. The decisive blow left him momentarily stunned, clutching his head, unsure how to respond. Suddenly, a flash sparked in his eyes, as if a bold idea had just occurred to him. By now the monsters had surrounded him, fierce and aggressive. If he didn't act immediately, he'd be torn apart under their claws. The leader's eyes glinted with ferocity as it curled its lip. There's a little worm hiding here. At the leader's command, two savage beasts lunged at Ning Feng, claws tearing through the air. He smirked slightly, thinking with no surveillance drones left, this was the perfect chance. Let's see if that forbidden spell is truly powerful. Ning Feng murmured, eyes cold. He raised his hand and whispered the incantation. A terrifying aura burst forth, coalescing into a pitch-black curtain of bone. In an instant, the surrounding monsters screamed in agony as their bodies withered, turning into chalk-white skeletons that collapsed to the ground. On the monitoring side, panic spread. All connections to the dungeon's drones were suddenly severed. A tremendous dark power had erupted, leading them to suspect a king-level monster had appeared. Captain Chu's face turned grave as he ordered an immediate call to reinforcements and evacuation of all non-combat personnel. He gritted his teeth and muttered, strange, why would something this terrifying exist in a test? In the dungeon, Ning Feng stood amid the pile of dry bones, his cold gaze sweeping across the scene, the leader now trembling, unable to believe the sight before it. It roared in utter panic. Ning Feng chuckled softly, thinking to himself that he had grasped how to use the forbidden incantation. He marveled at how astonishing this power was. Just then, the system in his head chimed repeatedly. Host eliminated goblin minions, experience +10, strength increased. The moment he cast the forbidden incantation, Ning Feng stunned the beast leader, its eyes flashing with surprise. Dark power erupting from a human like him piqued its curiosity, wondering how he could wield such terrifying strength. But before it could think further, Ning Feng lunged forward, eyes cold, delivering a lethal strike. In an instant the beast leader howled in pain and collapsed, turning to dust. The system immediately announced, host eliminated elite monster, experience +6000. After the fierce battle, Ning Feng felt his body filled with new power. He checked his status, mage level 10, stamina 10, strength 8, agility 8, spirit 20, endurance 12. He smiled faintly, he hadn't expected to jump to level 10 in a single fight. In previous years contestants usually only gained 1 or 2 levels because minor monsters gave so little experience. But that elite monster had given him the breakthrough. Ning Feng muttered, frowning. Why would an elite monster appear in the exam? Before him, the beast's loot piled up, glittering. He picked them up, eyes lighting up at 2 rare orange items. Pioneer Badge, permanently increases agility, and Shadow Claw. Requirement level 20, +13 strength, +16 agility, +10% attack speed, +5% critical rate, +10% chance to trigger successive attacks. Ning Feng thought happily that he couldn't use the Shadow Claw, but the orange item would fetch a good price. If this continued, leveling up would be effortless. Suddenly the surveillance speakers blared urgently. All contestants must stop the assessment and use teleport scrolls to retreat immediately. Ning Feng was still dazed, wondering what was happening, when the scene before him darkened. Deep black pits appeared, emanating a deathly aura and turning the trial dungeon into a wasteland. He whispered to himself, is this the true might of the forbidden incantation? His instinct warned him to leave at once. If discovered using the forbidden incantation, the consequences could be unpredictable. Without hesitation, Ning Feng activated a teleport scroll, his figure flashed and vanished. By then everyone had used teleport scrolls and hurriedly exited the dungeon. Ning Feng had just returned, barely steady on his feet, when Captain Chu shouted, ordering, everyone evacuate immediately. Return to town at once. The appearance of a king-level monster had drained the color from Chu's face. He was deeply worried. With current forces, no one could confront it. He muttered, wondering if reinforcements would arrive in time. At that moment, unexpected news came in, the source of dark power had suddenly vanished. The monitoring team judged the monster had escaped the dungeon. The situation now exceeded their capacity to handle. Qi Vai's expression turned serious. She ordered an immediate report to superiors, quietly to avoid widespread panic. She lowered her voice, instructing the academy to activate the exam sealing formation, leaving only one exit for unrelated persons to retreat. Seeing Ning Feng appear, Qi Vai hurried over, eyes full of worry. Are you alright? When he replied that he was fine, she breathed a sigh of relief and urged him to leave immediately. Then an announcement rang out, the school suspends all activities. Unless necessary, do not return. Outside, Ning Feng asked no further, but seeing Qi Vai's tense face he thought she seemed to be facing a great threat. Wang Duet standing beside him whispered, I heard the exam detected an unknown power source. The entire school has been locked down. Ning Feng nodded, guessing that the power source was surely related to that mysterious elite monster. He sighed softly, regretting that his awakening had just occurred when the exam was interrupted. Seeing Ning Feng's pensive look, Wang Duet assumed he had been deeply shaken. She comforted him, saying defensive magic keeps you alive but isn't suitable for solo leveling. Join our team starting tomorrow. Ning Feng shook his head, firmly refusing. No need, I'll level up on my own. He knew well that dark forbidden magic shouldn't be casually displayed before others. If exposed, the consequences could be unpredictable. Wang Duet glared, not giving Ning Feng a chance to protest. You dare refuse? Be at the west gate at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. With that she turned on her heel and left, leaving Ning Feng standing there, shaking his head in exasperation. He muttered, the more he thought about it the more pathetic he felt. He briefly considered feigning illness to avoid it, but knowing Wang Duet's stubborn nature, Ning Feng realized dodging today wouldn't save him tomorrow. After some thought he came up with an idea, unsure if it would work. At the Far City Trading Exchange, Ning Feng stood before the gate, eyes sweeping over the bustling crowd. He knew some gear with special attached skills could help him disguise the forbidden incantation. His plan was to buy equipment with a minor skill to fool Wang Duet tomorrow and sell the loot from the elite monster yesterday. If lucky, the system might convert the item's skill into a forbidden spell. As soon as he entered, a young woman hurried out with a warm smile. How can I help you? Ning Feng replied immediately, I want to buy an item with a minor skill attached, weapon, jewelry, or trinket, any will do. Hearing this, the girl raised an eyebrow, studied him more closely, then smiled. Minor skills are low-level magic, you don't need to buy them. We have many items with high-tier spells, great for leveling. Shall I show you? Ning Feng shook his head, voice firm, no, temporary use is all I need, it doesn't have to be high-level. The girl's expression changed instantly, her smile vanishing. She frowned, her tone turning cold as she called someone over, who's free to serve this customer, then stalked off, muttering about the inconvenience and a poor wretch. I am not at leisure to entertain. Ning Feng stood there with a slight smile, unconcerned, when a new staff member, looking awkward, approached to assist him. The newcomer had a kind face and a friendly smile. If you need anything, just tell me. At his request, she led him to a weapons shop. After trying on various suits of armor, swords and trinkets, Ning Feng finally favored a sparkling ring that fit his finger perfectly. He smiled, thank you, miss, and thank you for patiently showing me around. By the way, he asked where to sell loot. I want to go there. The clerk nodded, and led him to the appraisal and consignment office. An elderly, spirited man stood waiting, in charge of item appraisals. Ning Feng took out the orange claw, the loot from the monster battle. The old man held it up, eyes bright, instantly recognizing it as an orange-tier weapon of the agility type, with low-level requirement and excellent stats, ideal for newcomers. He pointed to 3 inlay sockets on the claw, explaining they could customize attributes to better boost its effectiveness. He nodded, praising the item's quality. I'm sure I have clients interested. He asked, what price do you want? Ning Feng smiled awkwardly and scratched his head, as high as possible. The old man laughed heartily. Understood. Sit and wait, I'll contact buyers. Xiao Duong, take care of Mr. Ning attentively. Having said that, he stepped outside and called someone named Director Truong to report, I have a premium item matching your client's requirements. The call ended and he returned, smiling as he told Ning Feng, the item sold. The buyer paid 50,000 spirit coins, after an 8% transaction fee you receive 46,000 spirit coins. Hearing 46,000 spirit coins, both Ning Feng and clerk Xiao Duong were stunned, who would have thought the claw would fetch such a high price. He quickly completed the paperwork and the money was transferred to his account immediately. Incidentally, Ning Feng asked Xiao Duong to show him a few more pieces of equipment. She nodded enthusiastically and led him to the outer display area. There, the clerk who had greeted Ning Feng earlier was arrogantly chatting with colleagues. She boasted that she only liked rich, capable heartthrobs. Poor types like that guy weren't even worthy of a thick book for her. The other girls burst into laughter and teased, "Must you be so realistic?" At that moment, they saw Ning Feng step out with Xiao Duong and the appraiser. A friend whispered, "I heard that handsome guy just sold equipment for 50,000 spirit coins and now he's buying new gear. 50,000 could pay our team's salaries for 3 months. Hearing that, the clerk went pale, quietly regretting having looked down on Ning Feng. If she'd treated him politely at first, the commission would have been hers. After Ning Feng finished choosing his gear, Xiao Duong escorted him outside. She smiled, "Next time just ask for me. I'm Duong Hin." He nodded in thanks and left. Ning Feng was in high spirits today, whistling as he walked. Last night he had tested and found that items with attached spells weren't affected by the system, which would help him hide the forbidden incantation without fear of exposure. As he walked, Ning Feng suddenly saw Wang Duet ahead. He opened his mouth to call her name. But before he could speak, a group of people called out first, "Wang Duet." The group numbered 5, a mage, a shield warrior, an ex-guard berserker, and a pink-haired girl who was a cleric. Wang Duet pulled Ning Feng over and introduced them as members of her guild. But 2 men in the group, a mage and the ex-guard berserker, looked at him coldly, not friendly at all. Even though Ning Feng greeted them politely, they acted as if he owed them 80 million spirit coins and ignored him. The mage turned to Wang Duet with a bright smile, "I recall you're about to get your second promotion, right?" Ning Feng was momentarily stunned at this. He privately admired that Wang Duet was impressive. Every 3 levels she could change rank once, so she was about to hit level 60. No wonder she was the 5-star prodigy. The smug mage produced a small vial and offered it to Wang Duet. "I want to give you this gift." It was an orange-quality consumable, a rare agility elixir that permanently increased agility by 3 points. The cleric girl and the ex-guard berserker gaped, amazed at the item's rarity. The mage puffed up, boasting that such a gift was trivial. 20 or 30,000 spirit coins, do yet, and I don't care. The point is, this elixir is hard to buy even with money. My father had to call in favors from many friends to get 1 bottle. Hearing that, Wang Duet shook her head and declined firmly. "I appreciate the gesture, but I won't take this elixir." The mage scowled, "Come on, this elixir is precious. Aren't you determined to get into a top university?" But Wang Duet remained resolute. "Ning Feng and I have things to do, we're leaving now." Annoyed, the mage pointed at Ning Feng and snapped, "Wait, do you really want to waste time with this piece of trash?" Wang Duet replied sternly, calling him by name, "True Trin, watch your words." He sneered and continued, "A 1-star is trash, never amounting to anything in life." Ning Feng stood there with a sting of bitterness. He wondered, why is this guy targeting me? Who is he? Is he crazy? Or should I use the forbidden incantation to wipe him out? The cleric girl quickly intervened, "True Trin, stop talking, let's go." But he ignored her and barked loudly, "If it's none of your business, step aside and don't interfere." Then he turned to Ning Feng, pointed at his face, and sneered, "This brat couldn't even afford a single elixir, get lost, don't embarrass people." Ning Feng shot back without hesitation, voice sharp, "Are you a mad dog? Barking nonsense? Threatening over a +3 elixir, what's so impressive?" This made True Trin furious, eyes reddening as he ground his teeth, "You poor devil, how dare you speak to me like that? Want to die?" Just then the shield warrior stepped in, taunting, "Such big talk, do you actually have something impressive? Show us. If you do, I'll kneel and kowtow to you, if not, you kneel and kowtow to me." True Trin nodded, sneering in agreement, "Exactly right." Without hesitation, Ning Feng immediately pulled out the Vanguard badge, swaying it before the man's face, lips curling as if to mock him. He turned to Wang Duet and handed her the item. "This is a gift for you." Wang Duet's eyes widened, astonished at the gleaming badge. She guessed at once it was an orange-quality permanent stat booster. She asked in surprise, "What is this? I've never seen one before." The whole group, including True Trin, froze, their jaws dropping. They whispered doubts about a permanent stat booster. Was it a trick? Ning Feng smiled lightly and replied, "A trick or not? Try it and you'll know. He gave the badge to Wang Duet calmly. Don't worry, I found this at home and intended to give it to you from the start. Wang Duet accepted the badge and tested it immediately. A flash of light, her stats surged, proving the item genuine. The group fell silent, but True Trin was the most distraught, eyes wide in disbelief. How do you have such a treasure? You must have stolen it. Yet once spoken, denial was useless. Ning Feng curled his lip, voice cold, louder, speak up, I can't hear you well. True Trin turned purple with rage, growling and refusing to back down. Wang Duet frowned and said, Trin, do you want to eat your words? Seeing his attitude, his teammates quietly backed away as if they wanted to disown him. With no way to argue, True Trin gritted his teeth and, humiliated, knelt down. To kowtow before Ning Feng, he didn't bother to glance at him, pulled Wang Duet away, and said, see you later. Get out of here. Wang Duet felt apologetic. Sorry about that. Ning Feng cut her off quickly, there's no need for apologies between us. Actually you don't need me by your side, I just hope you complete your second promotion and get into a top university. He added with a slight smile, and if you stay by me, it'll be hard for me to level up. Wang Duet heard this and worriedly said, don't belittle yourself. She took out a skill book and handed it to him. Study this when you reach the appropriate level. Ning Feng skimmed it, saw it was a purple quality book, and asked in surprise, this isn't cheap, is it? Wang Duet smiled lightly, it's nothing compared to the badge you gave me. He nodded and accepted it happily. In the secret zone of the graveyard, the scene was desolate. Horrid beasts crawled up from the tombs, but to Wang Duet, they were nothing. With a single slash she easily felled the horde, eyes cold and imposing. While Wang Duet enthusiastically hacked through the monsters, Ning Feng sat in a corner, leisurely counting. By now she had slain 666, but his calm composure was only a guise. He sighed inwardly, the experience here is too low, I'm already level 10, what now? Hopeless. He didn't dare tell Wang Duet and just sighed quietly. Suddenly, Wang Duet's phone rang. The cleric girl called urgently, I just got word, the fallen law of Wu Yu world boss is about to appear. It's a rare chance, are you coming? True Trin interjected immediately. Wang Duet, you have to go, without you, how can we fight it? The fallen law of Wu Yu can drop rare mage items, it's crucial for me. Wang Duet fell silent, and glanced at Ning Feng, seeing him bow his head wearily as he said, you should go, it's fine. I'm staying in the secret zone, training a bit won't matter. Wang Duet hesitated for a moment, eyes showing reluctance, but eventually nodded. Return to the safe zone and wait for me to come back. Saying that, she dashed off like the wind. Ning Feng watched her go, smirked, and muttered, big shot, take your time, drop by if you're free. He was secretly pleased to be left alone, exactly as he wanted. He thought, the world boss appearing right now is perfect. Luckily last night I prepared and learned 2 skills, they're free one-time uses anyway, the more forbidden incantations the better. But he frowned slightly, regretting that level 10 only unlocked 3 skill slots, and the skill book Wang Duet gave him couldn't be used until level 15. In the perilous graveyard, monsters grew denser, each one ferocious and exuding a deadly aura. News of the fallen law world boss spread quickly, drawing countless combat teams. All eyes turned to the tall tower where the boss would appear. Deep inside the perilous secret zone, Wang Duet's group planned routes to clear a path from point to point, whispering warnings to be careful. This dungeon was extremely difficult and the monsters were deadly. As they prepared, suddenly the sound of fighting roared like thunder. Looking closely, a squad of adventurers had charged ahead. The group immediately recognized it as the elite guild team led by Wang Duet and True Trin, top tier in the kingdom, formidable and famous. Other teams sighed, there was likely no chance left. Sure enough, Wang Duet's team swept like a whirlwind, slaying whatever monsters crossed their path. Each member displayed astonishing power. True Trin laughed triumphantly, what can those other lousy teams compete with? This world boss is definitely mine. He watched Wang Duet fight, his eyes flashing. The cleric girl nodded. Wang Duet was much stronger than before. The ex-guard berserker grinned, her agility had increased by a full 10 points after all. At the same time, deep inside the secret zone, Ning Feng silently advanced using forbidden incantation, a void-walking technique, an active dark skill that tore space apart, sending him through the dark realm straight to the boss's altar, maintaining it for an hour without expending any effort. Facing him was the fallen law world boss, Wu Yu, the target of every team. Ning Feng waved and smiled amicably, "You're late." In response, Wu Yu roared and unleashed a terrifying strike, aimed straight at him. When the dust cleared, Ning Feng was nowhere to be seen, as if burned to nothing. The world boss sneered, "Hai Long, this adventurer doesn't know his limits, daring to appear here alone." But unbeknownst to the boss, Ning Feng was alive and quietly appeared behind him. Answering the earlier question, he curled his lip, "Because I don't want to share the spoils with others." With that, he unleashed his move without hesitation, giving Wu Yu no chance to retaliate. The active skill Heavenly Stillness Fire Rain, a dark forbidden incantation, was activated. The fire rain fell like meteors, dealing terrifying area damage. The world boss took the deluge of flames and screamed before exploding, disintegrating on the spot. The system immediately announced, "Host defeated the fallen law of Wu Yu, experience plus 5,000. Ning Feng officially reached level 30, qualifying for first promotion. The loot from Wu Yu piled up before him, surprisingly abundant, jewelry, gems, items he needed. Unfortunately 2 skill books weren't for mages but still held considerable value. Especially 3 orange items caught his eye. First was the Gloom Soul Stone, plus 20% spell damage and plus 20% life leech. Second was the Fall Pillar, Drowning Art Pillar, requires level 30 and 15 stamina, plus 20 spirit, plus 100 mind resistance, plus 100 curse resistance, toxin immunity, can socket 3 gems. Finally the Wu Yu Seal, a consumable that permanently reduces 3 stamina and permanently adds plus 15 spirit. Ning Feng didn't hesitate and absorbed the Wu Yu Seal on the spot. Although he lost 3 stamina, he could bear it for the huge spirit boost. The system then notified, "Host meets promotion conditions and can initiate the hidden vocation Soulbound Wu Mage or trigger the pledge quest for the hidden all-system arcane deity vocation." He was stunned to learn hidden vocations are extremely rare, only activated through innate talent and hardly influenced by humans. Ning Feng guessed these seals were the key to that opportunity. Ning Feng told himself a man must be decisive. He activated the all-system arcane deity vocation and quickly left the secret zone. The recent battle left a terrifying aftershock that reached Wang Duet's group. The team panicked, wondering what had just happened. The magical fluctuation was too frightening. Wang Duet immediately ordered a retreat and to halt the advance. Tru Trin protested angrily, "I still want to go in and fight the world boss." She replied coldly, "It's dangerous, do you want to get the whole team killed?" Hearing that, he had to withdraw, but in his heart he was bitter and muttered, "Why is my luck so rotten?" Wang Duet intended to message Ning Feng, but as she opened her phone she saw a message from him, "Sorry, urgent matter, went ahead first." At that moment, Ning Feng had already arrived at the promotion hall. A young woman greeted him, smiling, "Are you here to accept the promotion quest?" After he confirmed, she began entering his information. She started inputting the data. Knowing he was 18 at the newest promotion, she privately thought his aptitude was a bit low. Once finished, she led him into a room, instructing him to follow the procedure and that she'd step outside. As she stepped out, she ran into Captain Chu, who hurriedly said, "I just returned from the perilous graveyard. The scene suffered heavy damage, the power source unclear, but the threat level was king tier or above. In just 2 short days, the secret zone had been shaken by 2 severe threats." The receptionist suggested requesting distant reinforcements. Meanwhile Ning Feng stood before the quest board reading intently. The Soulbound Wu Mage promotion quest required entering the Despair Demon Tomb secret zone to retrieve the Blood Soul Crown. Time limit, 3 days, difficulty, 5 stars, grade A. The all-system arcane deity quest required entering the Radiant Yang Divine Temple secret zone to obtain the Divine Seal. Time limit, 3 days, difficulty, 5 stars, grade S. Ning Feng frowned, he hadn't expected 2 branches to choose from. Seeing the all-system arcane deity was a prerequisite quest, he decisively picked that branch. After confirming the quest, Ning Feng left the promotion hall, muttering, "No wonder it's a hidden vocation, S-rank quests as always. Luckily 3 days isn't too stressful." Stepping outside, he intended to thank the receptionist, but was surprised to see a different woman attending now. Where did that senior sister go, he wondered inwardly. Inside the perilous graveyard secret zone, the earlier receptionist had appeared and begun investigating. Her mysterious demeanor impressed the teammate. "It's the first time I've seen someone from Lo Sa, even their attire is different." Captain Chu hurriedly whispered to keep quiet. Lo Sa is a secret organization. Members possess hidden vocations, use dark powers, and specialize in special missions. The girl frowned, showing discomfort. The dark power here was too strong. Though much had dissipated, it still affected us. After a while of investigation, she shook her head, no clues found. The culprit struck and vanished, the motive was baffling, she murmured. Recently Lo Sa has received many reports of anomalies in secret zones. It could be a sign of a major crisis. Might they be related? Captain Chu fell silent, eyes full of worry. Captain Chu frowned and asked, "Even the famed Lo Sa is stumped?" In response, the Lo Sa woman shook her head, voice low, "I can't be certain yet. I can only report up and request intensified investigation." The teammate hesitated and lowered his voice, "Can you confirm the culprit was a monster? I mean, could it be an abnormal like us?" "Sorry, I was only asking," he added. She glanced at him with cold eyes. The scale here far exceeded king tier. To control such immense dark power would require a price no mortal flesh could bear. In other words, an extremely powerful monster was hiding in the city and could cause disaster at any moment. It had to be found immediately. Meanwhile at home, Ning Feng studied the 2 skill books Wang Duet had given him. The system announced a new discovery. The magic shield can merge with the forbidden corporeal earth art. Auto-activated. Then the system chimed again. The passive guard of corrupt earth activates when attacked. 100% of damage is absorbed by the corrupt earth body, absorption equal to damage dealt by that body. After striking, the corrupt earth body self-recovers. Ning Feng was stunned. He realized forbidden incantations could fuse with low-tier magic, creating a new defensive layer. Normal damage no longer affected him. He continued to the second book, the Ruin Rock Technique, which can merge with the corrupt earth corporeal forbidden incantation and heavenly stillness fire rain. The system auto-activated, making Ning Feng smirk, another powerful move added. The system continued, passive earth element mastery activated, increasing all earth magic effectiveness by 20%. Ning Feng nodded and checked. He still had 3 skill slots free, so he decided to go to the exchange to buy more skill books. As he stepped in, the attendant from before immediately recognized Ning Feng. Regretting she'd underestimated this fat lamb, she rushed over with a bright smile. "Mr. Ning, may I assist you today?" But Ning Feng only offered a polite nod and said coolly, "I'm looking for Duong Hin, not you." She bowed. "Ms. Duong Hin is busy with another customer, I'll take you to her." Ning Feng ignored her, "I can go by myself." The attendant ground her teeth in anger, thinking, "Isn't this kid a man? How dare he refuse me? Am I worse than Duong Hin?" Despite her attempts to follow and explain, her words fell on deaf ears. Just then Duong Hin rushed over. Breathless, "Mr. Ning, I'm finished with the task." Hearing her colleague report that you had arrived, I ran over at once. Ning Feng smiled sheepishly and apologized for disturbing her during her break. "Let me make it up with a meal." The other attendant watched, fuming, unwilling to be outdone by Duong Hin. Duong Hin led Ning Feng to the appraisal room. He said, "I want to sell these 2 skill books and buy a few more mage skill books." The appraiser nodded and said, "Little Duong, show Mr. Ning around." He pondered quietly, thinking of Ning Feng. Previously he had an orange weapon, now purple skill books. His background piqued the appraiser's curiosity, so he mentally arranged for someone to investigate further. After finishing, Ning Feng invited Duong Hin to eat as thanks. Unexpectedly, she had already paid. He asked in surprise. She smiled faintly, "I have a reason for inviting you. I insist you won't pay." Her reason, Ning Feng still didn't know, only smiled in response, secretly grateful. Curious, he asked, "Why did you invite me?" Duong Hin smiled mysteriously. "Just go home." Outside, he offered to give her a ride, but she shook her head, "I have somewhere else to go, I'll grab a taxi myself." Seeing her insistence, Ning Feng didn't press, only reminded her to stay safe. In the taxi, Duong-hin instructed the driver to return to the second hospital. She thought to herself that Long would be grateful to Ning-fong. Thanks to him, she earned quite a bit in commissions. Enough to cover her father's expenses. Lost in thought, the car suddenly shook violently, struck by a tremendous force. The driver collapsed and died instantly. The culprit was a huge, ferocious monster. Not only her car, several nearby vehicles were crushed beneath it. Civilians panicked and scattered. Duong-hin hurriedly opened the door and lunged out, but she stumbled and fell after only a few steps. Seeing the monster before her, she recoiled in horror. How could there be a monster in a safe zone? Suddenly a magic circle appeared in the air. A man stepped out, curling his lips in a pleased smile, surveying the chaotic scene. Facing the monster, Duong-hin gritted her teeth and cast a spell. As a Tier 1 mage at level 34, she attacked but couldn't even scratch it. The monster roared and charged. One blow would have crushed her. Just then Captain Chu appeared and swung his blade, severing the monster's head. He shouted, "Duong-hin, if you can still move, find a place to hide now." Looking around at the devastation, secret zones merging with reality, Chu frowned and muttered that he'd never seen such a grave situation. These monsters were terrifyingly powerful, something a Tier 1 mage like Duong-hin couldn't handle. Captain Chu recalled his colleague's warning. An extremely powerful monster was hiding and could cause disaster at any time. At that moment, a sudden strike came from behind. Chu Lan narrowly evaded it, but when he saw the attacker clearly he was stunned, an abnormal, half-human half-monster with a grotesque body. Chu shouted, "An abnormal." The man snarled irritably, "I'm not trash. I'm Xian Ko-jia, the one who wields dark power." Chu frowned, wondering, Xian Ko-jia, who is that? Why have I never heard the name? Without hesitation, he swung his blade, but the edge did not faze the guy. Xian Ko-jia needed only one punch to easily neutralize it. After that move, Chu grew more worried, guessing his strength was at least equivalent to second transfer, perhaps even third transfer. The abnormal scoffed, activated a forbidden incantation, speaking arrogantly. "This is my territory, how can a chick like you fight me?" Having said that, his deformed arm punched straight at Chu, with such force that he had no time to block. Red blood splattered. Chu fell, life hanging by a thread. Xian Ko-jia laughed loudly, triumphant, "I'm truly stronger now. Setting foot on this land, I feel power rising." Suddenly a cold voice rang from the pendant he wore, "Pathetic humans, don't be vain." Xian Ko-jia trembled, hurriedly bowed his head in apology, fear showing in his eyes. The voice from the pendant continued to warn Xian Ko-jia coldly, "Your power is granted by me, without me, you're garbage like the rest. Prove your worth." The one hidden in the pendant was none other than the king-tier monster everyone was hunting. It ordered him to slaughter everyone in the city as a sacrifice for it. At that moment Ning Feng had just stepped out of the restroom, facing a scene of devastation. Before him, a monster had just massacred innocent people and immediately noticed him. It roared and charged like a cyclone. Ning Feng stood still without a trace of panic. From beneath his feet, the ground split open wetly. A sharp blade surged up, piercing the monster in an instant. It was the newly purchased spell, Earth-grade obsidian blade. Ning Feng silently thanked the large sum he had spent today. The weapon not only came with a purple skill but was also enhanced by earth element mastery. After dealing with the monster, he advanced toward Xian Ko-jia, who was still rampaging madly. Seeing Ning Feng unharmed, he curled his lips in a murderous grin and stepped forward, a worm like you thinks to escape. He raised his deformed arm to crush him to death. Watching this, Ning Feng could only exclaim, "Holy hell, what the heck is this?" In an instant, he was seized by Xian Ko-jia's massive hand, yet felt no harm. The forbidden incantation had been activated, easily blocking his strike. Xian Ko-jia began to panic, not expecting Ning Feng to so easily parry his blow. From the pendant, the king-tier monster roared, voice trembling, "This dark power is too strong. Could his might surpass mine? His aura is far more terrifying." At that moment, Ning Feng activated a forbidden incantation, shattering Xian Ko-jia's incantation and tearing off his deformed arm in the process. In dire straits, Xian Ko-jia yelled for help, "Great leader," but the pendant's cold voice replied, "The one you call is no longer contactable. Fend for yourself." The smaller monsters around scrambled to flee as the secret zone's gate was about to close. Only Xian Ko-jia remained facing Ning Feng, his arm ruined and his abnormal power gone. His abnormal power had originally come from the vocation tied to darkness, surpassing other vocations of the same rank. Without that power, he was no different from a cripple. Ning Feng showed no mercy, swinging his blade in a rapid series of strikes, and felled him on the spot. Wiping his brow, Ning Feng let out a breath of relief, privately thinking himself lucky to have attacked first without needing to defend. He quickly gathered the fallen loot and, while no one was paying attention, slipped away quietly back to headquarters. There, Team Lu Sa received word that the monsters had retreated and the secret zone invasion had disappeared. The senior sister from Lu Sa grew even more curious. Who was behind this? Both times it had been destructive magic. The secret zone invaded then suddenly vanished. Other areas were safe, only the southern city under Captain Chu suffered heavy losses, and the situation remained unclear. The senior sister decided to go check the southern city herself. At the scene, Duan, another member, was inspecting Xian Kojia's corpse with a questioning look. After a careful examination, he sighed and realized all of the abnormal items had been taken. At that moment, a powerful woman from the surveillance center appeared, eyes cold, barking, "Who are you? Don't move, answer now." Duan calmly raised his badge. In an even tone he said, "Don't be tense. I'm a member of Van Nguai Huin Can, an unofficial group formed by independent fighters. We usually operate in secret, but today we were forced to reveal ourselves because of that abnormal." He lowered his voice and continued, "This abnormal was once one of our people, but he betrayed us, colluding with the secret zone to enter reality and lead monsters to attack our camp. Except for a few survivors, all our comrades were killed." Hearing this, the senior sister frowned slightly and guessed that perhaps the secret zone stopped invading because he had died. Duan nodded but looked suspicious and asked, "So was the one who killed him from your organization?" The powerful woman shook her head, "Absolutely not, I don't know who did it either." Duan frowned and muttered, "This abnormal is extremely cunning, always hiding within the secret zone space. Previous times when we found him he still escaped. Never thought this time someone would be able to kill him outright." Both were stunned. They hadn't expected such a formidable figure to be hiding in Tandu City. After speaking, Duan hurriedly left, saying he needed to retrieve something at Ning Feng's house. At that time, Ning Feng was brimming with excitement, eyes shining as he inspected the loot taken from the abnormal. Among it were 2 blazing orange pieces of equipment for fighters, a permanent Radiant Glory armor set requiring level 120, and a pair of pants armor of the same rank. He muttered excitedly, "This is even better than killing a boss." Thinking back, he realized the abnormal hadn't been wearing these items, surely because his level wasn't high enough. Otherwise, he might have had to use a forbidden incantation to beat him. Ning Feng picked up a strange pendant, a faint light pulsing from it. He examined it and found it displayed no quality or information. Muttering to himself that there probably wasn't an ancient god trapped inside, he put it aside, not knowing a pair of grotesque eyes were lurking inside the pendant, watching him intently. The monster hidden within sighed in relief, thinking it had reacted quickly enough to close the secret zone's gate and avoid exposure. Hearing Ning Feng mutter just that, he panicked and urgently ordered his comrades to cut all communication, absolutely not revealing their location. At the city hospital, Captain Chu, wrapped in bandages, hoarsely recounted that a young fighter had saved us. The moment the enemy saw him, it immediately opened a secret zone rift and fled. The senior sister pondered, eyes sharp. "I also felt this person's strength, far from ordinary." She frowned and continued, "Someone that strong couldn't catch their opponent, yet a mysterious boss killed him. It's hard to believe, but we can only infer that the man passed through or is hiding somewhere. He's certainly not on the registration list. Apart from a few common magical traces on last night's battlefield, there's no significant clue." Captain Chu sighed, "If that boss were here with us, it'd be great, just the thought makes me feel safer." Hearing this, someone beside him brightened and said, "I have a bold idea. There must still be traces of dark power left on last night's battlefield, right?" The senior sister nodded calmly, "Of course, after all, the enemy was a secret zone monster, but it's only a guess, not certain." The other person continued excitedly, "What if that mysterious boss is an ability user? Didn't both occurrences of the destructive magic fail to harm staff?" Before he finished, Captain Chu cut in firmly, "What you're saying is impossible, you're overthinking it." Ning Feng had entered the secret zone. Long was determined to head to the Hui Duong Divine Hall to complete his vocation transfer mission. Unbeknownst to him, Duan was secretly tailing him, slipping through the secret zone and keeping just enough distance to avoid detection. Duan's reason for following Ning Feng dated back a few days to the bustling trade district. That day, Duan came looking for a 4th transfer fighter gear set. The attendant who received him was the same clerk Ning Feng had once rejected. She was secretly delighted, eyes shining at the handsome, generous high-level customer, thinking that if she could latch onto him, her future would be secure. The appraiser, face alight with excitement, announced, coincidentally, an acquaintance of ours is about to sell a 4th transfer fighter set, but only 2 accessories, the armor and the pants. Duan immediately perked up, urgent, I want to meet that person right away. The appraiser hesitated, he's busy today and can't come. Hearing about the 4th transfer armor and pants, Duan froze, suspicion flaring in his eyes. Every detail matched his master's relics. Though he hadn't seen the set himself, he was almost certain it was what he'd been searching for. He lowered his voice, can you tell me more about this regular customer? I'm willing to pay for the information. Duan's offer made the appraiser momentarily uneasy, thinking how coincidental this was. Ning Feng had just said he wanted to sell gear when this person inquired. He felt like something had been arranged, a bead of sweat forming on his brow. He stammered, I recall him saying he needed to go to the neighboring city to handle some matters, let me call and confirm with him. By then Duan had already left the trade center. The appraiser held his head, tense. Seeing this, the clerk anxiously asked, Master Vong, is something wrong? He sighed and recounted, I once had someone investigate Ning Feng's background. His parents were ordinary 2-star vocation holders but disappeared when he was young. He grew up alone, attended City Middle School No. 7. Not until he was 18 did he awaken, and he still only has a 1-star vocation. The clerk exclaimed in shock, with such a fierce appearance he's actually just trash. But how could a 1-star vocation yield such high-quality items to sell to us? In response to the clerk, the inspector sighed. That's precisely the problem. Although he's a friend of the Wong family's heiress, the corporation hasn't helped him much. The clerk frowned, recalling Duan's sullen expression earlier, and suspected that Nin Feng's gear was stolen, otherwise how could it coincide like this? The inspector shook his head with concern. I'm afraid this isn't simple. This time Nin Feng may have provoked someone he shouldn't have. Hearing that, the clerk smiled smugly, picturing Duan taking down Nin Feng, thinking to herself that there would be a good show this time. Back in the present, Duan silently tailed Nin Feng, his sharp eyes never leaving him. The more he watched, the harder it was to believe someone as young as Nin Feng could repel a Hidden Realm incursion. Even a powerhouse like his master had once failed against the Hidden Realm's henchmen. Based on the information, Duan could only conclude that his master's relic was in Nin Feng's hands. But if he wasn't a powerhouse, was someone else pulling the strings? He resolved to be extremely cautious. By now Nin Feng had approached the Hui Duong Divine Hall, where martial artists were enthusiastically training and leveling up in live combat. When he began to change equipment, Duan held his breath and waited. He wanted to judge the boy's strength by his gear, but when Nin Feng donned the familiar set, Duan was stunned and muttered, this set is too ordinary for Nin Feng, no different from an unenrolled student's outfit. Could it be a disguise? On second thought, given Nin Feng's age, starter attire like this wouldn't draw attention and would blend into the crowd easily. To avoid being noticed by Nin Feng, Duan kept a safe distance, thinking that if the boy was deliberately hiding his trail he might shake him off, but to avoid alerting the target he couldn't follow too closely. He silently cast his spiritual guidance skill to mark the target, placing a sigil on Nin Feng without arousing suspicion. Observing the beasts in the area, Duan frowned slightly, surprised that their levels were rather low. He wondered what Nin Feng had come here for. What surprised him most was Nin Feng's absolute defensive skill, an inviolable shield that made the surrounding monsters wary and avoid him. Now Duan was certain, Nin Feng was by no means ordinary. At this point Nin Feng had gone deep into the Hidden Realm and stood before a giant statue. He muttered, good, luckily there's no one here. Observing from afar, Duan was briefly alarmed, thinking the statue might be the final boss. He wondered if Nin Feng intended to solo it. But why would a powerhouse like him choose such a low-level boss? Strangely, the statue did not move at all. After watching for a while, Nin Feng didn't act but circled around and continued deeper in. At this point, another monster appeared. That was the real final boss, Nin Feng's true target today. But the moment it saw him, the boss immediately turned and fled. Even though Nin Feng hadn't yet done anything, Duan witnessed this and vaguely guessed that it must be a rare hidden boss. But how did Nin Feng know? The system had just sent Nin Feng the mission, enter the Hui Duong Divine Hall Hidden Realm, retrieve the divine mission item Hui Talisman, and defeat the hidden boss Luke Duk Archangel. Hearing this, Nin Fong laughed heartily. No wonder it was an S-rank mission. If it had been a normal mission, who could handle it? The hidden boss trembled now, mumbling, "This is terrible, this is my hidden realm, where can I possibly run?" But it couldn't run in time. Ning Fong unleashed the forbidden Dark Thunder Pillar spell, summoning a colossal tempest of lightning, bearing a power like a celestial calamity as it descended. The boss received the strike and its thunder catastrophe vanished in an instant. Duan watched from afar, stunned and reeling. One strike from Ning Fong not only destroyed the boss, but nearly leveled the Hui Duong divine hull. He thought in horror that this world-destroying magic was the most terrifying he'd ever seen. Now Duan called Ning Fong Big Elder, guessing his strength far surpassed his master, perhaps even that of a legendary 8th transfer powerhouse. But Ning Fong was still unsatisfied. Having not completed his first transfer, his level couldn't rise and accumulated experience would be wasted. Nevertheless, he obtained the Divine Sigil, a blazing orange sacred badge, plus 8 permanent spirit points and 100 permanent recovery points. After finishing, Ning Fong took the teleport scroll intending to return and submit the quest. At that moment, Duan suddenly appeared and called out loud, "Big Elder, please wait." The sudden appearance tensed Ning Fong, who thought, where did this person come from? Could he have seen everything? Seeing his bewildered expression, Duan also worried, fearing the Big Elder's anger. He hurriedly forced a friendly smile, "Big Elder, please don't be angry, let me explain." Suddenly alarms began blaring. Ning Fong immediately cut him off, "Leave here first, we'll talk later." Outside the secret zone, Ning Fong and Duan found a quiet corner to talk. Duan earnestly explained why he had followed, voice low, "I'm truly sorry, I mean no harm, I only wanted to verify a few things. After all, you are very young, if I hadn't seen it myself, I wouldn't have believed it. Someone as strong as my master back then, even if he died, could only temporarily seal the secret zone's intrusion, allowing that traitor to escape. For years that man has used sacrifices to break the seal, I've been hunting him for a long time but have failed." Hearing this, Ning Fong fell into thought, guessing this man was a powerhouse. If he didn't reveal himself, Ning Fong couldn't have discovered him. His own level was still too low. If things continued, he'd eventually be exposed. Seeing Ning Feng's silent stance, Duan worried, fearing Ning Fong might kill him to silence him. Yet he still confidently spoke, "Big Elder, you've avenged my master, I'm deeply grateful. If you need anything in the future, summon me." Ning Fong quietly assessed Duan, thinking, he's high level and travels alone, cultivating a good relationship could be useful. "About today, you said you don't want anyone else to know." "Understood." Duan nodded, "Rest assured, I promise to keep it secret." He knew well that Ning Feng's magic carried terrifying dark power but didn't harm innocents and even repelled the secret zone to save the city. In Duan's eyes, Ning Fong was strong, humble, and worthy of respect. Whatever his motives, Duan quietly decided he had nowhere else to go for now and would stay in Tandu City. Suddenly, a call came through to Ning Fong. As he picked up, Ko Kai hurriedly asked, "Where are you?" "I have a few things to discuss," Ning Fong replied. "Wait for me to return and we'll talk later." At Ko Kai's place, the senior sister standing beside her, eyes sharp, asked, "Have you spoken with Ning Fong?" Ko Kai answered calmly, tone even, "He seems fine and is preparing to head back." The senior sister murmured thoughtfully, a newly awakened student in just days suddenly reaching first transfer level, if they don't investigate promptly, they might miss him. But Ning Fong has a good nature and studies hard, I believe he's not a bad person. To Lam heard this and shook her head slightly. She didn't mean to call Ning Fong bad, but there are a few things that need clarification. She recounted that at the meeting, the supervision team had reported the recent situation to their superiors, but they showed no interest, and asked, "Aside from this, is there anything else?" Lam hesitated, then continued, "Could the 2 types of destructive magic appearing in Tandu City be caused by a mutated user?" At the question, a colleague sneered mockingly, "Lam, you're the mutated user, how can you even ask that?" Mutated users who wield dark power pay a heavy price, life drained, reason lost, even transforming into monsters. Even the mildest cost can leave a mutated user beyond saving. A king-level mutated user is basically impossible. Lam frowned and replied, "I'm merely considering every possible scenario, take it or leave it." The colleague burst out laughing, still spouting nonsense. Obviously it's because you couldn't investigate, right? If there truly were a king-level mutated user, I'd bring his head to you to kick around. The old man at the head spoke in a steady tone. We have dispatched an investigation team to Tandu City and hope your side will cooperate actively. If necessary, the team will take over the entire operation. As for the request to send more personnel from your agency, the superiors have not approved it yet. Lam heard this, frowned briefly, and asked irritably, is the reason that you don't trust us? The old man replied calmly, it's not that we don't trust you, in short, be patient a little longer. The meeting had just ended, when someone hurried in to bring new news to Lam, that the secret zone at Longback's Huiduong Divine Hall had been struck by destructive magic. There are temporarily no casualties. Ko Kai became instantly agitated upon hearing this. When Ning Feng registered his leveling location through the site check, he had signed up for that very place. Lam nodded slightly, her eyes flashing as she thought to herself that this would be very interesting. In Longback City, the entire city had been covered by a gigantic barrier. Citizens panicked, uncertain whether the barrier would hold. The incident at Huiduong Divine Hall had frightened them to trembling. A guard hurried to reassure them, don't worry, the barrier has been activated at maximum strength, it will isolate the dark forces from the outside world and prevent spread into the urban area. It's perfectly safe. Hearing this, Ning Feng sighed inwardly, thinking he'd made such a commotion that they'd triggered the highest alert. Now all he could do was wait for the alert to be lifted so he could catch a ride home. But the situation was not as safe as the guard claimed. The monsters had closed in on the barrier, leading a ferocious legion, their momentum surging. The monsters growled and debated, what is this shield for? It looks like a magical barrier, yet they're not afraid of it. It looks like a magical barrier, yet they're not afraid of it. Too bad this can't stop us. Give them a surprise. Haha. With that, they brazenly passed through the barrier as if it meant nothing. Everyone was stunned to realize something was wrong, and by the time they understood what was happening, the monsters were already looming right in front of them. Chaos erupted instantly, and the terrified citizens scattered in every direction. The guards were bewildered, not understanding how the monsters had broken through the barrier while it remained intact. Given the urgent situation, Duan gathered his chi and executed a martial combat technique, creating a solid shield that wrapped around him and Ning Feng, temporarily holding back the monsters. He turned to Ning Feng in a low voice. This could be a high-level secret zone intrusion, not much different from last night's incident in Tandu City. Then he asked whether they should intervene. Ning Feng, slightly surprised, asked back, Duan, do you really know how to handle this? The seemingly casual question stunned Duan, who thought to himself that if the Big Elder could handle it easily, why ask him for a solution? No, why would the Big Elder ask me? What am I thinking? Duan silently chided himself, sensing the Big Elder was clearly testing him. Decisively, he said, Ning Feng, leave everything here to me. This made Ning Feng a bit dazed, but he thought, whatever. There are many people here, it would be inconvenient for me to act, let him handle it. At that moment the guards surged forward to confront the monsters, some shot arrows. Others swung swords, trying hard to land physical blows. But their attacks only left a few scratches, and the guards were gravely wounded by the monsters. After finishing them off, the monster advanced toward the civilians, muttering, what a disappointment. I thought humans had a few strong ones. Just as the monster raised its claws to strike, Duan suddenly leapt forward to block the attack. Even while fighting, he privately thought the Big Elder didn't need his protection, but since he was here he couldn't let him act alone. Confidently, Duan turned to Ning Feng and repeated, leave everything here to me. The monster, provoked by the intercepted blow, roared, so this place wasn't all trash after all. Duan didn't hesitate and counterattacked immediately. His sharp blade sent the giant monster flying. It began to panic, not expecting Duan to be able to wound it. Not giving the opponent a chance to recover, Duan continued to unleash moves, wielding both blades to form a dazzling martial formation. In the blink of an eye, the monster was completely defeated. Those around were astonished. What level fighter is this? The monster had no chance to fight back. His skills are anything but ordinary, he might be a high-level hidden vocation. Under Duan's blade, the monster was officially annihilated. At level 137, with a secret 5-star martial vocation, Duan's combat ability was truly astonishing. Witnessing the spectacular scene, Ning Feng deeply admired Duan, never expecting him to be so formidable. With the monster leader slain, the remaining beasts scattered in panic. Taking advantage of the moment, the guards quickly counterattacked and wiped out the remnants. After finishing, Duan approached Ning Feng and asked respectfully, "Big Elder, is there anything else you want me to do?" Ning Feng laughed heartily and gave a thumbs up, "No need, you did very well." Seeing Duan bow respectfully to Ning Feng, everyone nearby grew curious. Huh? How powerful is this young Ning Feng really? Could he be a wealthy young master training with a bodyguard? Duan immediately handed the loot from the boss to Ning Feng and said, "Big Elder, please accept this." In his hand was a blazing orange artifact, an item that made many covetous. Even if unusable, selling it would fetch tens of thousands of spirit coins. The nearby girls were enchanted with Ning Feng and joked about wanting to be his coat rack. The 2 orange items included a skill book for the agility system. Ning Feng thought he could leave it for Wang Duye, and a demonic suppressing bone shield. He planned to sell them for money and decide later. Just then, the mayor of Long Back, Tai Dong Min, personally came to meet Duan and Ning Feng. He bowed respectfully and thanked the 2 powerful fighters for saving Long Back City. Seeing that the 2 looked a bit unfamiliar, not like locals, Ning Feng sighed and replied, "We actually just came for work. We didn't expect to be trapped here and can't leave for now." His meaning was simple, but Tai Dongmin misunderstood, breaking into a sweat as he imagined Ning Feng muttering, "Why am I stuck here? Don't you have any worries at all?" Making up scenarios in his head, he hurriedly bowed 90 degrees and stammered, "I'm truly sorry, it was our negligence, please forgive us." Ning Feng panicked and waved his hand, "Don't do that, actually, I caused this myself." He then only dared mutter inwardly. The mayor immediately sent someone to bring a valuable flight scroll he had just bought as compensation for the Big Elder. Hearing that, Ning Feng was stunned, dazed. He knew the flight scroll was extremely precious and hard to obtain. Even for single use, it was very convenient for short and medium trips. The mayor then spoke up respectfully, "I have a request." He hesitated before adding, "These days everywhere is in chaos. I would like to invite Ning Feng and Duan to stay a few more days because the city's defenses are weakening." Ning Feng shook his head to refuse, "I'm not free. My transfer mission only has 3 days, if I miss it, I'll never complete this first transfer." Hearing this, the mayor's imagination ran wild, sweat beaded on his brow as he pictured Ning Feng's scowling face shouting, "Do you think I'm idle?" He hurriedly wiped his face and muttered, "This is indeed careless." He respectfully handed the flight scroll to Ning Feng along with a supreme black card from the Far City Exchange and said, "Consider this a small token of thanks." Ning Feng was astonished, knowing the supreme black card was granted to only a few successful people and came with many privileges. He thought to himself that the mayor's status must be extraordinary, extremely rare. He immediately accepted it, smiled brightly, and thanked him. Seeing Ning Feng smile, the mayor breathed a sigh of relief, reassured he hadn't offended him. Summoning his courage, he stammered, "If Longback City faces danger again in the future, could we call on you, Big Elder, for help?" Ning Feng laughed, "No problem, just as long as I'm free." Hearing Ning Feng agree, everyone rejoiced as if they'd hit the jackpot, applauding loudly. With things settled, Ning Feng and Duan activated the flight scroll and vanished at once. In Tandu City, in front of the transfer hall, 3 people were standing waiting for Wang Duye. At that moment she and True Trin stepped out, and suddenly 2 beams of light flashed. Ning Feng and Duan streaked across the sky thanks to the flight scroll. Wang Duye froze, thoughtful, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Seeing this, True Trin asked, "What's wrong?" "I just saw 2 people fly past, one looked like Ning Feng." True Trin scoffed, "Are you mistaken? A flight scroll worth thousands of spirit coins. How could someone as poor as Ning Feng buy one? Even if he did, why would he awaken and come to the transfer hall?" This made Wang Duye angry. She snapped, "If you dare slander Ning Feng again, I'll teach you a lesson." True Trin was bitter, but only dared to curse internally, ridiculous, why defend that hopeless, talentless guy? What's he got that I don't? The atmosphere was tense like a drawn bowstring when the holy vocation girl quickly interjected, "Forget that. Have you 2 accepted your second transfer missions yet?" True Trin answered proudly, "I got an A rank, pity I didn't pull an S. A rank is fine, only Oh Hong can draw S. At 18 I achieved the second transfer and topped the university contest for Supernova. An A-rank transfer mission is a once-in-a-thousand-years opportunity. The holy vocation girl excitedly asked Wang Duyet, how about you? What rank mission did you draw? Wang Duyet's expression suddenly fell, she was silent. Everyone guessed she must have only drawn a C-rank mission, which explained her dejection. Seeing Wang Duyet despondent, True Trin secretly rejoiced, thinking he never expected the praised prodigy to have a day like this. Lower transfer missions directly affect attributes and unlocked skills. He patted his chest confidently, Wang Duyet, don't worry, work hard later and you'll catch up, after all, I'll help you. But inwardly he looked down on her, assuming a C rank or lower would set her back. Wang Duyet shrugged off the consolation, glared at him, and replied, if an A rank like you isn't upset, why should an S rank like me be? The words struck like lightning, and everyone gaped in disbelief. It turned out Wang Duyet wasn't sad because she drew a low-rank mission, but because her mission was different. It unlocked a hidden vocation never before discovered. True Trin couldn't accept it and shouted, how is that possible? Upon awakening the vocation is supposed to be predetermined, right? I've never heard that a hidden vocation can erupt during a transfer. Wang Duyet glared at him. How could he be mistaken? She clearly remembered the transfer interface announcing it detected the transfer candidate possessed the key item, the Pioneer Badge. The original Archer Agility vocation could upgrade into Pioneer Shadow, the transfer mission would change accordingly. Two options appeared before Wang Duyet, confirm the promotion or cancel. She was bewildered, not understanding why the interface had shown up that way. On the screen the Pioneer Badge, gifted by Ning Feng, glowed brilliantly. She hadn't expected it to have this special effect. Recalling Ning Feng's confident smile when he handed over the badge, Wang Duyet guessed he must have known its function beforehand. Grateful and respectful, she didn't hesitate and pressed the confirm promotion button. The holy vocation girl asked anxiously, how can you decide so casually? True Trin yelled, Pioneer Shadow. Never heard of it. There's something wrong with the two transfer systems. If you pick wrong, your whole life is ruined. Wang Duyet replied coldly, this is my matter, you don't need to worry. The remark left True Trin speechless and flustered, I only meant well, but nobody cares about him. Everyone gathered around, cheering and congratulating Wang Duyet. Amazing, who knew a 5-star hidden vocation could still be promoted? The holy vocation girl sighed in envy, I wish I had a bamboo rod horse like Ning Feng. True Trin was furious, she resolved to find a similar badge at any cost, no matter the money or danger. On Ning Feng's side, he began his transfer. In his hand was the Divine Badge, an orange consumable item that permanently increased 5 points of stamina and 5 points of spirit. The system announced the S-rank mission was completed 100%. Ning Feng laughed aloud, rejoicing not only at the huge attribute boost but also at acquiring a new passive skill. This skill operated automatically, allowing him to control dark power more precisely and use forbidden incantations perfectly. While Ning Feng underwent his transfer inside, Duan stood guard outside, looking no different from a loyal bodyguard. Tu Lam suddenly appeared, seeing Duan, her curiosity was piqued. She recognized him as the fighter she'd met before, but didn't understand why he was with Ning Feng and acting as his sentinel. According to intelligence, Duan was still young but had reached 4th transfer strength, ranking among the rare Long Fuang elites nationwide. Staff said that upon arrival, Duan clung closely to Ning Feng and behaved with extreme deference. Seeing Ko Kai arrive, Tu Lam warned that her student was not simple. Everything else depended on her. Ko Kai nodded and replied, don't worry, I'll verify this with Ning Feng. I believe he's definitely not our enemy. At that moment, Ning Feng and Duan stepped out, chatting and laughing boisterously. Ko Kai called Ning Feng over. I have something to talk to you about. Understood? Duan immediately turned away and respectfully said, Big Elder, I'll wait nearby. The term, Big Elder, made Ko Kai pause. She asked confusedly, what do you mean by that? Ning Feng laughed heartily, you don't need to mind it, he's joking. But Ko Kai's expression suddenly grew serious. She asked, have you already completed your first transfer? Ning Feng froze, thinking to himself, even though he didn't want to reveal it, had he been discovered so early? Ko Kai had always cared for him and was trustworthy, surely she meant him no harm. He forced a smile and admitted, yes, I don't want many people to know because explaining it is rather complicated. Ko Kai nodded but maintained a stern tone, there's one more thing, it may sound strange. I want to confirm whether you've been corroded by dark power. Ning Feng panicked, fearing his system had been exposed. Still, he didn't admit it outright and asked Ko Kai why she was asking. She continued, "You know there have been anomalies lately, secret zones invading reality more and more, causing many to be affected by dark power and gradually become aberrant subjects." Mentioning aberrant subjects, Ning Feng knew they were strictly monitored by the government. He absolutely did not want to be involved. To reassure her, he affirmed, "I'm not an aberrant subject." Ko Kai produced a black stone, and said seriously, "I hope you'll cooperate with this test. Just transmit your power into the crystal and it will show the amount of dark power in your body." Ning Feng's face showed worry, sweat poured down. "You explain, it's my first time encountering this, so I'm a bit nervous," he said. Then he trembled as he touched the crystal and transmitted his power into it. Suddenly, the crystal shook violently and then exploded, shattering into pieces. Ning Feng was horrified, and Ko Kai was stunned, not understanding what had happened. After a moment of daze, Ning Feng spoke up, "What is this?" Ko Kai remained silent. The stone was a demon crystal provided by Talam, extremely sensitive to dark power and commonly used by the government to test for aberrant subjects. The stronger the resonance, the higher the dark power content. But a demon crystal exploding had never happened before, and Talam had not explained its significance. Seeing Ko Kai silent, Ning Feng hurriedly said, "I know it's strange to be transferring right after awakening. But you've known me a long time, at least you believe I'm human, right?" Reflecting on Ning Feng's circumstances, Ko Kai couldn't help but feel heartache. A girl who awakened later than her peers, yet he still kept an optimistic, positive spirit, no easy feat. She looked at him, her voice warm and personal, "I trust you, but out of duty I must report today's events to my superiors. I hope you understand." Ning Feng nodded, uneasy, uncertain how the government would react. He privately calculated that the last resort might be to leave Chengdu City. Ko Kai suddenly produced an item and smiled. "This is a gift from me to you, congratulations on completing your first transfer." Ning Feng accepted the gift, grateful and respectful. He returned the gesture by giving her a radiant holy purified belt, orange quality, level 30 requirement, plus 20 spirit with 50% effectiveness, restores 100% stamina and nullifies dark attribute via purifying light. The wearer can use recovery spells without chanting. Ko Kai recognized its value at a glance, an orange-tier item capable of saving countless lives in a life-or-death instant. "Too precious," she shook her head. "I can't accept this." But Ning Feng insisted, smiling as he handed it over, "This is spoils I obtained on a transfer mission, please don't be formal." Afterwards he bid farewell, a friend was waiting for him over there, if there's nothing else, he'd take his leave. With that, Ning Feng departed, his steps light but resolute. Watching Ning Feng's retreating figure, Ko Kai felt a rising, wordless gratitude. She hadn't expected the young man to generously gift her an orange item right in the adventure office. At that time Ko Kai brought the crystal fragments to Talam for inspection. Seeing the demon crystal shattered, she was stunned to witness Talam show panic for the first time. If those above learned of this, they'd certainly view Ning Feng as a threat. At that point his safety would be gravely endangered. Thinking this, Talam sighed softly, her tone grave, "Drop it, let's stop here." Ko Kai, still vague, frowned slightly and asked, "What do you mean?" Talam pressed her lips together, worry flashing in her eyes. "Her student might have already exceeded our current understanding. If he truly is a powerhouse, then we should stand by him rather than probe deeper and risk angering him." Regarding reporting upward, Talam shook her head firmly, "There's no need to halt the investigation, strictly collect all information on Ning Feng and Nian Feng." Hearing this, Ko Kai immediately raised her hand in agreement, her eyes brightening. She thought Ning Feng was young with no notable background, serving as his shield seemed right. Knowing Ning Feng didn't want his secret exposed, she decided not to pry further. Her focus shifted to fighter Duan. After all, recruitment time was coming, and another strong member wouldn't hurt. At Ning Feng's home, Duan was there, watching him with concern and quietly asking, "Big Elder, you don't look very happy." Receiving a message from the teacher that the superiors had cancelled the investigation into him, Ning Feng exhaled softly. But his heart remained heavy with worry about future promotions. Each time he broke a secret zone he caused too much commotion, drawing the government's attention. If this continued, his secret would be exposed sooner or later. He muttered with some unease, "That's it." Beside him Duan watched silently, admiring inwardly. Iron-like indeed, Big Elder's worries differ from ordinary people. Breaking secret zones with each promotion, if one didn't see it firsthand, Duan wouldn't know how to respond. Although a solution existed, he cautiously asked again, would it be any better if he avoided leveling up in the secret zones the government prepared? Recently, anomalies have been occurring in the world, with countless new secret zones appearing. Some government officials are reluctant to spend the effort and resources to deal with them, while several secret zones have fallen into the hands of evil forces. Hearing Duan's suggestion, Ning Feng nodded, his eyes brightening. Where is the information on these secret zones? Duan replied immediately, his tone enthusiastic, there are 2 at the moment. If Big Elder needs, I can go gather more. Ning Feng smirked slightly, giving his assent, then he'd have to trouble him. If they acted under Duan's name instead of a student like him, things would go much more smoothly and he could avoid many prying eyes. He planned to go to the trade district tomorrow to sell the spoils and rest a bit. After all, with the forbidden incantation for promotion, he didn't need to worry about others overtaking him. At the Express Inn, Ning Feng closed his eyes and relaxed a little. After leaving Ning Feng's house, Duan immediately sought a boarding inn to spend the night, planning to find a rental place to settle matters in the morning. As soon as he entered, someone greeted him warmly. He introduced himself, I'm Zhang Ji, mayor of Qingdu when the secret zone breached last time, thank you for saving people. May I ask if you plan to stay in Qingdu City? Hearing Duan answer yes, Mayor Zhang Ji beamed, his voice full of excitement, excellent, someone of your caliber is most welcome. This is a special certificate for the city's adventurers granting high authority. If you need anything in the future, tell us and we'll do our best to accommodate you. Seeing Duan examine the black card closely, Mayor Zhang Ji couldn't hide his excitement. He'd heard other cities tried to recruit Duan but were refused. Qingdu, a small locality, might have been overlooked, but that worry proved unnecessary. Duan accepted the card and nodded slightly, thanking the mayor for his kindness. At that, Mayor Zhang Ji happily shook Duan's hand, chattering, you needn't be so formal. Duan accepted the card because of Ning Feng. He thought his Big Elder might need it in the future, so he would keep it for now. Of course, Mayor Zhang Ji had no idea about Ning Feng. He was thinking that with a 4th transfer powerhouse like Duan stationed here, Qingdu would be much safer. Realizing Duan was looking for lodging, the mayor immediately offered enthusiastically, I'll arrange a place for you right away. It was past midnight at Ning Feng's place. He'd just beaten an opponent in an intense game match. Lost in play, he suddenly realized how late it was and hurried to bed. Suddenly his phone vibrated, the screen lighting up with messages from his class group. They were lively discussing ranks, some at level 26, some had reached 27, but none had passed level 30. Some complained and worried because the secret zones inside the city were sealed and leaving the city was restricted. At this rate, ranks would fall further, one wrote. Skimming the messages, Ning Feng smirked inwardly, thinking that they were all only 16, already awakened. If they wanted to take the exams they needed at least a transfer. He hadn't expected to leave his peers so far behind in just a few days. At that moment someone in the group mocked him by name, sneering, some people have been gaming all this time. Ning Feng, do you dare to say otherwise? Though called out, Ning Feng just glared at the screen and didn't bother replying. He knew they were fans of Wang Duyet who had likely seen his game status. What do you care if I'm playing games? He muttered scornfully. Immediately after, Ko Kai suddenly spoke up in the group, her words sharp, mind your own business and don't trouble yourself for others. At just that one sentence, the guy who had been mocking hurriedly retracted the messages he'd sent. Seeing that, Ning Feng laughed heartily and thought to himself that Ko Kai was still the best. Just then a new message popped up, bringing hot information about secret zone invasions causing heavy casualties. The whole city was almost nowhere safe. Some even rumored that last time an unidentified elder defeated a terrifying monster. Hearing the rumor, someone in the group burst into loud laughter, arrogantly saying that if they knew who it was they'd claim him as their grandfather. Reading that message, Ning Feng frowned, feeling heavy at heart. He'd heard Ko Kai and Duan mention the world's mutations before, but he hadn't expected it to be this severe. After enjoying a few peaceful days, he really didn't want his life disrupted. At the distant city exchange, Duong Hin, though bearing a few light wounds from the monster encounter, quickly returned to work. Seeing her, a snobbish female employee approached with a mocking tone, really? Someone not fully healed already came to work. Facing her, Duong-hin bowed her head, eyes avoiding contact, and said softly, "My injuries aren't serious, there's no problem." The other woman curled her lip, speaking venomously, saying out loud that she's fine while secretly hoping to climb higher quickly. Hearing this, Duong-hin was briefly stirred and quickly waved her hand to deny it, but she dared not say more and silently endured. Emboldened, the woman continued throwing insults. Sadly, her lofty position is just a reckless thief who dared to snatch from a fourth transfer warrior, now likely smashed to pieces. Duong-hin immediately retorted, her voice trembling, "Mr. Ning isn't that kind of person." The woman sneered contemptuously, Master Vong has already sent people to investigate. That Ning fellow is just trash, awakened at 18, with both parents dead early, impossible to obtain high-tier items. Now that a fourth transfer warrior has come to the door, if he's not a thief, then what is he? As soon as the words fell, a blast of power suddenly erupted before her, nearly knocking her over. The one responsible was none other than the person she had just spoken of, Ning Feng. Ning Feng curled his lip, his gaze cold as he looked at her, his voice low, "Your mouth is vicious, you nearly pushed me past my limit." No one expected Ning Feng to appear right here. The snobbish employee was briefly panic-stricken, and hurriedly pointed at him, shouting, daring to use offensive magic in the exchange, "Guards, come arrest this man." Hearing that, Duong-hin panicked and grabbed Ning Feng's hand, anxiously urging, "Run now while the guards haven't arrived." The distant city exchange's influence is not small, ordinary people can't offend them. If they capture you it will cause big trouble. At that moment, Mr. Vong strode forward with two burly guards. Pointing at Ning Feng, he barked, "Who gave you the nerve to act insolent in the distant city exchange?" Ning Feng remained unflinching, his eyes cold as he shot back, "We, Master Vong, heard you were investigating behind my back and labeled me a thief. Whether I'm a thief or not, you know best. You have no right to question me." Mr. Vong roared and signaled the two guards to rush forward to seize Ning Feng. But Ning Feng made no unnecessary move. Leisurely he lifted the authoritative black card and said with sarcasm, "So this is how the distant city exchange treats its customers." The black card shimmered, causing the two guards to freeze in place as if frozen. Mr. Vong and the clerk Hatch Dyke gaped in utter astonishment. Mr. Vong knew well it was the exchange's supreme black card, yet inwardly he still suspected Ning Feng's card was fake. Seeing their stunned expressions, Ning Feng smiled faintly and said, "Mayor Tai's gift carries some weight, doesn't it?" Mr. Vong stammered, his voice trembling, "Ning Feng, where exactly did you get that card?" Ning Feng curled his lip and refused to answer directly. "Weren't you the one investigating me? Then investigate it yourself." At that, Mr. Vong signaled everyone to glare and watch Ning Feng, then hurriedly turned away muttering, "I'll make a call to check." The person he called was none other than Mayor Tai. Hearing Mayor Tai's voice over the phone, coldly he demanded, "People at headquarters told me you're investigating the matter of me gifting a card to Mr. Ning. What do you mean by that?" Mr. Vong felt a cold sweat break out at the nape of his neck. Mayor Tai's father was one of the exchange's founders and immensely powerful. He wondered how that brat Ning Feng could possibly curry favor with someone so important. He hurriedly tried to explain, stammering, "Mayor, it's nothing, just a small misunderstanding." Mayor Tai immediately roared like thunder, "A small misunderstanding? How much effort did I expend to win over Mr. Ning? You wouldn't dare offend him, would you?" Mr. Vong panicked and tried to stay calm. "Ha ha. All right then, rest assured, I'll handle it properly." But Mayor Tai erupted in fury, slamming the table. "You really offended him? Who gave you the nerve? You bastard, just wait, I'm coming." At that moment Mr. Vong realized he'd poked a hornet's nest and felt frantic. He couldn't fathom what relationship Mayor Tai had with Ning Feng to make him so enraged. Just then he suddenly remembered Duan, his last lifeline. He hurriedly called Duan, his tone urgent, "I've found the combat uniform." He thought that if Duan appeared to confront them, even Mayor Tai would show some deference. Meanwhile, in the exchange's waiting area, Ning Feng and Duong-hin were sitting and resting. Suddenly, Mayor Tai and Duan Hoi Hai rushed over. Seeing the two of them, Ning Feng froze and asked in surprise, "Why are you two here?" Duong-hin was stunned, she hadn't expected Ning Feng to know both Mayor Tai and Duan. At that moment, the two suddenly glared at the haughty clerk. Their cold stares made her hairs stand on end, She nervously wondered why they were all staring at her like that. Glancing at Mr. Vong, who looked even more pitiful, like a beaten shell of a man, he muttered, "I'm done for." Mayor Tai, now fully aware of everything, stepped up to Ning Feng and respectfully called out, "Master, do you really not want them to apologize?" Ning Feng slightly curled his lip and replied calmly, "No need, I don't think either of them is the sort who would repent after apologizing." Hearing this, Mayor Tai immediately turned and, voice icy, ordered Mr. Vong and the clerk, "Pack your things and leave here at once." The result left both of them stunned and unbelieving. In a panic, Mr. Vong turned and slapped the clerk hard across the face, roaring, "You idiot, get out." Witnessing that, Mayor Tai grew even more disgusted and immediately ordered the guards, "Drag these two out now." When it was done, he turned to invite Ning Feng and Duan into the VIP room to continue their conversation. Observing the way Ning Feng looked at Duong Hin, Mayor Tai silently breathed a sigh of relief, thinking luckily the boy's impression of her remained good. Fortunately, the exchange's goodwill had not been completely destroyed. With that thought, he turned to Duong Hin, his tone stern yet encouraging. "Work well from now on, and the exchange will surely not betray you." The mayor's direct admonition made Duong Hin embarrassed. Her cheeks flushed as she hurriedly replied, "I'll do my best." Ning Feng then bowed his head slightly, speaking earnestly, "I'm truly sorry for causing the mayor to make that trip on my account." Mayor Tai waved his hand and laughed heartily, "Nonsense, your affairs are my affairs. If it weren't for those two intervening last time, Long Back might have been in danger." He paused for a moment, curiosity flickering in his eyes. It seemed Ning had been looking through the exchange's catalogue of treasures. "Anything catch your interest?" Ning Feng nodded, excited. "Oh, right, I actually want to buy something. Have you ever heard of Zhong Mo Di Du?" At the sound of that name, both Mayor Tai and Duan fell silent, their expressions blank. Clearly they'd never heard of it. Seeing their reactions, Ning Feng scratched his head, slightly flustered. "It's okay, I saw it online yesterday and thought it sounded novel." In fact, the name Zhong Mo Di Du that Ning Feng mentioned originated from the skill book Ko Kai had given him, titled Spiritual Force Tidal Palace. It's a skill used by mages to replenish magical power in combat. Ning Feng was curious what would happen if he turned it into a forbidden incantation. Right after activating the book, he gained a passive skill Confluence Mind Seal, which can absorb Zhong Mo Di Du from dark energy and convert it into his own attributes. But this so-called Zhong Mo Di Du was so strange, he'd never heard of it, didn't understand its meaning, and had no idea where to find it. When they came to the exchange to inquire today, everyone shook their heads in bewilderment. At this point Mayor Tai glanced at his watch and sighed softly, "I'm pressed for time and must leave now." He told Ning Feng and Duan to be sure to visit Longback City next time, he'd host them then. After saying that, Mayor Tai waved his hand, activated his flight scroll, and vanished in an instant. With matters at the exchange settled, Duan patted Ning Feng's shoulder and excitedly suggested, "Big bro, come eat at my place." At Duan's villa, arranged by Mayor Tan Du, the luxurious space left Ning Feng impressed. He gaped and asked, "Is this the room that kid you found got?" Duan laughed and nodded. "They said I've reached fourth transfer and agreed to stay in Tandu City is rare, so they arranged this place for me. If you like it, move in here, I'll find somewhere else." Ning Feng laughed heartily and waved his hand, "Not that extreme, I'll earn a bit more and can buy one next door to you." Duan shrugged casually, "If it's money, I have some, use it if you need." Ning Feng immediately declined, eyes resolute. He didn't need Duan's money. Ning Feng thought to himself that he'd spent quite a bit of spirit coins on equipment lately, converting them to buy a villa wouldn't be a big problem, but then his spirit coins would be depleted. If something came up later he'd be in trouble. He wasn't in a hurry, so he wouldn't force himself. Duan's villa even had a private chef, and he'd called ahead. Soon they'd arrive with a lavish feast. Just then, Duan's phone rang. The caller was Mayor Truong. His voice was serious. He had something to bother him about. The matter was that an investigation team dispatched from higher up was looking into several accidents in the city, and he wanted to ask Duan a few questions. Duan didn't answer immediately. His gaze flicked to Ning Feng as he considered silently. Worried the investigation might affect the big bro, so he wanted to ask his opinion first. With that in mind, he replied calmly, "Sorry Mayor, I'm not available today." Mayor Truong smiled lightly, "No rush, within 2 days, contact me when you have time." In the conference room, the investigation team newly dispatched from above. With a cold expression asked Talam's group, "Have you ever met the mysterious elder?" Talam replied calmly, her voice unshaken, "No, I've never met him before." The investigator frowned, skeptical. "If you haven't, then why are there rumors outside that the mysterious elder saved Tandu City?" Talam sighed softly and explained, "It's mainly because of this secret zone intrusion." Suddenly some mutated adventurers appeared to help resist the incursion, but they were also annihilated. Before she could finish, he cut in mockingly, "Are you joking? The danger level of secret zone intrusions can vary. You can't base conclusions on that before a proper investigation." On the contrary, the other two secret zone incidents were king-level assaults. "What has this so-called mysterious elder of yours actually done?" Hearing that, Talam just closed her eyes in silence. She truly had no more words to add on the matter. Kai Vai standing beside her understood inwardly. To protect Ning Feng, Talam had used her authority to edit all news related to him. All the pressure now fell squarely on her shoulders. Just then, Mayor Truong Hoi Hai rushed in, breathless. "I just called Duan. He said he's busy today and unavailable." The investigator's displeasure was obvious as he growled. What annoyed him most were these uncontrolled freelance adventurers. They're like dogs without a guild, acting like they have a lot to do. Enough. I'll take full charge of the investigation. You people go do something else. At the perilous secret zone near the graveyard preserve, a member of the investigation team had just set foot inside, and the guard who recognized him immediately let him in. The scene inside the secret zone, ruined and desolate, left him speechless. Although it was his first time entering, he realized how tremendous the force must have been to destroy a secret zone like this. The remaining dark power was still intensely pure. He muttered contemptuously that even if some so-called mysterious elder showed up, facing this existence would be like an ant. Then the investigator suddenly threw back his head and laughed loudly like a madman, his shrill voice echoing, "This place is truly fascinating." Abruptly, a stream of power wrapped around him, and slowly a gigantic beast manifested, clearly having invaded his body. He burst into laughter again, eyes crazed, befitting a king-level threat. Around him, a horrifying power swirled, making the air feel viscous. At Duan's villa, Ning Feng was still absorbed in his game, his combat strength quietly growing without fanfare. Suddenly, the system issued a notification in a cold voice, detected an apocalyptic relic. Immediately, Ning Feng felt a strange aura link to him. He frowned slightly, thinking that if he concentrated his senses, the link would become clearer and he could pinpoint its location. Without hesitation, Ning Feng stood up, put on his jacket, and prepared to leave. Seeing this, Duan looked up curiously and asked, "Big bro, where are you going?" Ning Feng curled his lips and answered tersely, "I'm heading out for a bit." He turned to ask Duan to finish the game match he was playing. Leaving the villa, Ning Feng followed the locator from the strange aura, feeling it lead him toward the area near the graveyard preserve's perilous zone. Suddenly, a stronger vibration hit, making him frown. It had moved. He muttered and quickened his pace. At the gate of the graveyard preserve's perilous secret zone, urgent alerts blared. An unidentified monster had appeared. From within the zone, a horrifying beast stepped out, terrifying the two guards, who stood frozen, unable to speak. The creature was even more dreadful, and bore a portion of the investigator's head. He groaned in pain, his voice hoarse, "I can't move. Someone help me." The road leading into the secret zone had been sealed off, passage prohibited. Ning Feng had to stop his vehicle, quietly get out, and cross on foot. At the same time, Talam's group had already arrived at the graveyard preserve's perilous zone. Seeing the giant beast before them, all three froze, eyes wide in shock. Kai Vai stammered, "What on earth is going on?" In an instant, the scene had become ruined and desolate, smoke and dust shrouding everything. Talam was now gravely wounded, leaning on Kai Vai to receive treatment. She panted, her voice full of gratitude, saying it was thanks to the gear Ning Feng had given her before that the him casting time was reduced, allowing the fastest possible aid. But the situation was extremely dangerous, even a powerhouse like Talam couldn't hold the monster back. It was heading straight for the city. Mayor Truong hurriedly called Duan for help. Kai Vai worriedly wondered if he would arrive in time. Although Duan's strength wasn't inferior to Talam's, alone he likely couldn't confront the beast. Talam's gaze flicked behind Duan, thinking the man might be everyone's last hope. Suddenly, Ning Feng lunged forward with an unexpected strike, slicing off one of the creature's horns. Glancing at its interface, he curled a lip and said sarcastically, "All right, this apocalyptic relic, just its head alone is way too big." He hesitated for a moment, weighing whether to use another forbidden incantation to finish it off. But at that moment, the beast roared and attacked Ningfeng. A terrifying surge of energy began to encircle him. Suddenly, a brilliant shield flared over Ningfeng, preventing the monster from touching him. The beast panicked. It hadn't expected Ningfeng's power to be so formidable. At that moment the system announced, "Apocalyptic relic found. Do you want to absorb it?" Ningfeng frowned and muttered, "Only notifying me now? Do I have to be in direct contact to absorb it?" No hesitation, reach out and press absorb. Immediately, a storm-like power surged through Ningfeng's body, shattering the beast just as he intended. At the same time, he absorbed its energy, and fragments of the creature's memories flooded into his mind. After the battle, all of Ningfeng's attributes soared by 100 points, even though he had already reached third transfer from grade 0. Even cumulatively, nothing could compare to that number. But beyond the attributes, Ningfeng felt a strange aura being sucked into his body. Bizarre images flashed through his head like a whirlwind. Just then, Duan appeared and urgently asked, "Ningfeng, what happened here?" He pointed toward the pile of wreckage and said calmly, "I just killed a monster a moment ago." From among the heap of monstrous corpses, the investigator's form gradually emerged, so mangled he was unrecognizable. Looking at Ningfeng's battlefield, Duan guessed the monster the mayor mentioned was this. He murmured in surprise, "If the elder could kill it I can understand, but the nearby aura doesn't feel like the elder used any powerful spell." "Elder, how could that be possible?" Ningfeng only gave a light laugh, patted Duan's shoulder, and teased, "You arrived at the perfect time, I'll leave the next part to you." With that he shot off at once, moving at an astonishing speed, far surpassing all agile vocation types. At the Chengdu City prison, the investigator had fully confessed, he was the monster. According to him, inside a secret zone he discovered a fiend capable of controlling dark power and tried to turn that power into his own. He exploited the investigation to sneak into the zone and absorb that power, but the fiend went out of control. Hearing this, Mayor Truong leapt with joy and kept exclaiming, "That's wonderful, there really is a mysterious elder protecting Chengdu City." To Lam and Ko Kai standing nearby merely smiled slightly, their eyes implying they had already guessed who that elder was. Mayor Truong turned to Duan and asked curiously, "Have you met this mysterious elder?" Duan nodded and replied, "Actually, I was fortunate enough to meet him once." At that, Ko Kai and To Lam couldn't hide their astonishment, their eyes hopeful. Mayor Truong eagerly urged, "Please, sir, introduce us a bit to this elder. If the mysterious elder is willing to stay in Chengdu City regularly, whatever he asks, we will do our utmost to satisfy." Hearing this, Duan shook his head slightly and said in a steady tone, "The elder is modest and rarely appears, you should drop that notion." Inwardly he breathed easier. Luckily he and Ningfeng had prepared a plan that pinned everything on a non-existent mysterious elder. And since there was no evidence, they had no way to prove otherwise. Mayor Truong heard this, held his head and sighed regretfully, as if the mysterious elder was that kind of powerhouse. He wondered how many people would risk their lives flattering such an elder. Duan added with a light smile that the elder had relatives in Chengdu City, so he would certainly care about this place. They needn't worry, but the old man also wouldn't want to be disturbed. Ko Kai heard this and her eyes flashed. She thought the mysterious elder must be Ningfeng Sr. At his home, Ningfeng bathed while thinking, gradually realizing the apocalyptic relic was the remnant left by traces of the Demon King within the secret zone. The images flashing through his mind turned out to be fragments of the Demon King's memories from when he was alive, drawn out with the energy. He frowned slightly. He had no intention of becoming a Demon King, but some elements within those memories were still useful. Secret zones that accumulate dark power strengthen in stages. If the invasions of time-space aren't stopped, the apocalypse will arrive. From the perspective of his time stream, the path to cultivating awakened ones still had many flaws. Powerhouses reaching the fourth transfer were too rare, and their vocations hadn't reached optimal forms. Reviewing the Demon King's memories, Ningfeng frowned, feeling the information was still too scant. If things continued, humanity faced only extinction. Though he could protect himself, he couldn't live alone in a world full of monsters. Fortunately, this time stream wasn't the only one invaded by secret zones. Some other time streams had repelled the invaders. And by accumulating a few more apocalyptic relics and passing on useful experience, he believed they could make a big impact. What exactly to pass on, however, Ning Feng still needed to think over. Ning Feng pondered deeply, realizing these experiences far exceeded current knowledge. If handled wrongly, the consequences could be incalculable. Just then, his phone rang. Wang Diet was calling. He picked up and laughed loudly. Miss Wang, what could you possibly want to bother your brother about? On the other end, Wang Diet had just completed an S-rank mission, successfully advanced, becoming Arrow Wind Yuing. She excitedly invited Ning Feng to be sure to come eat with her. Pressed by the young lady's enthusiastic invitation, Ning Feng dared not refuse and immediately promised he would come. Outside, Wang Diet's teammates were already waiting, even setting off fireworks to congratulate her and Tru Trin on reaching the second transfer. Onlookers gaped, admiration directed at the two of them. So young and already through the second transfer, they whispered in awe. To celebrate, Tru Trin booked a room at the city's finest hotel and invited Wang Diet and the whole team to join. But she tactfully declined, saying she had other business tonight and that everyone should go enjoy themselves. She'd cook for them tomorrow night. Tru Trin was still dissatisfied, his tone sharp. It was hard-earned to complete such a mission, they deserved a rest. What business couldn't wait? Wang Diet smiled faintly and replied, this matter is quite important. After saying that, she hurried off with quick footsteps. Watching her figure fade away, Tru Trin grumbled angrily and snapped that she had just advanced to the second transfer and had already turned aloof, refusing friends. A holy class teammate waved her hand anxiously. Don't say that, Diet isn't like that, she must really have something to do. Tru Trin frowned, suspicious. Does anyone feel tired of pursuing her? They feared that one day she might give up and leave the squad. Now she had not only completed the S-rank transfer but also awakened a new hidden vocation. Distance between her and the others would only grow. They feared that one day she might give up and leave the squad. At Old Tong's Lamb Grill, Ning Feng was thrilled by the fragrant piece of meat. To him, the grill's prices were fair and the flavor superb. He beamed at Wang Diet and said that only by following Miss Wang could one enjoy such delicacies. She replied with sparkling grateful eyes, mostly thanking him for giving her the badge. It had really helped a lot. While happily chewing the meat, Ning Feng raised an eyebrow and asked, "You mean that badge activated a new hidden vocation?" He thoughtfully skimmed through the Demon King's memories. Indeed, in this time stream the Awaken's vocations hadn't reached optimal forms. Ning Feng surmised such badges were likely one of the key upgrade methods. Wang Diet, curious, eyes brightened. Where did the badge he gave her actually come from? Ning Feng scratched his head innocently and grinned. I'm not really sure either. Hearing that, Wang Diet sighed dejectedly, regretful. If only we could buy them. I want to give them to you and the squad mates. Ning Feng smiled, appreciating her kindness. As always, Wang Diet thought of him whenever something interesting came up. He replied softly, if I don't know, Wang Diet, you tell me and I'll find a way. She immediately comforted him sincerely, don't give up on leveling. It's so dangerous now, having a bit more power to protect yourself is better. Be more practical, when I find a suitable badge for you, maybe you'll be able to activate a new vocation. Ning Feng laughed loudly, I'm kidding, training up myself is such a hassle, it's fine as long as you protect me. That remark made Wang Diet flush with anger and shout, don't joke, I'm serious. Suddenly her face contorted as if she were in pain. Ning Feng asked anxiously and learned she had been injured while doing the S-rank mission. She reassured him gently that, after all, it was an S-rank mission and the boss's damage was high, she would likely need to rest for a while. Just then, Ning Feng's phone rang, an incoming number. He answered. The voice on the other end was cold. You're Ning Feng, right? You don't need to know who I am. I'm asking you, where did that badge of yours come from? Taken aback by the question about the badge, Ning Feng froze, blank for a moment, then abruptly hung up. Wang Diet frowned curiously and asked, what's wrong? He shrugged irritably and said a jerk with an aggressive tone demanded to know where his badge came from. What is going on? I haven't told anyone else. Not caring who the caller was, Ning Feng went back to gnawing on the fragrant meat. But in less than a minute, the phone rang again. This time the man screamed into the phone in fury, damn it, how dare you hang up on me? Huh? refuse a toast, and you want a penalty drink instead. With Wang Duyet present, Ning Feng didn't want to make a scene, so he quietly turned the phone off without replying. After the meal the two of them headed home, and Wang Duyet asked about the strange man who had harassed him by phone. Ning Feng smiled faintly and reassured her not to worry, it's probably just a nonsense caller. When they got home, Ning Feng yawned, about to fall asleep, but the scene before him jolted him fully awake. The place was ransacked, belongings scattered everywhere. Clearly someone had been rummaging through. At that moment a blond man with an arrogant expression stepped out of the shadows and sneered, "So young Master Ning is home? Are you the one who called just now?" "Heh, that's right. I warned you, refuse a toast and you invite a penalty drink. If you'd been honest with me earlier, none of this would have happened." A dangerous light flashed in Ning Feng's eyes and his voice turned ice cold. "Who sent you?" The blond man seemed oblivious to the killing intent in his eyes and remained smug. "Ning Feng, you're just a newly awakened trash, how dare you speak to me like that? Didn't they teach you in class to show respect when facing a powerful one?" Suddenly, someone attacked Ning Feng from behind. But the man was too slow, nothing compared to the boy's reflexes. With a simple elbow strike, Ning Feng distorted the ambusher's face, sending him sprawling and rendering him incapable of fighting. Seeing this, the blond man went pale, eyes widening in horror. "What?" Ning Feng curled his lip, mocking, "I'll return this favor to you. When you meet a powerful one, show some respect." At this, the blond man began to panic. The information clearly stated Ning Feng was only a first-tier mage, yet he had easily taken down a third-tier assassin without effort. He furtively prepared a dart, intending to ambush Ning Feng once more. Ning Feng was slightly surprised by his own strength, all attributes increased by 100 points, not only his reactions but also his speed improved dramatically, enough to handle countless situations, even when using magic. At that moment, the blond man threw the dart at him. Ning Feng easily dodged, and ironically, the dart struck one of the blond man's companions. The blond man went ashen, realizing he couldn't win. He panicked and bolted, thinking he had escaped. But barely had he lifted his foot to jump when Ning Feng dashed over and grabbed him. He trembled, knowing he had no choice, and obediently complied. Ning Feng ordered coldly, "Clean up everything you set out, if anything's damaged, compensate for it." As requested, the group left everything behind, keeping only the shorts they wore. Seeing that, Ning Feng nodded, satisfied, then asked, "Who sent you?" The blond man stammered that he was Zhao Cheng, the eldest son of the guild's master. He said master had a special badge that went missing everywhere, so they were hired to get information from him. Hearing the name Zhao Cheng, Ning Feng sneered. He was a mage in Wang Duet's guild. If he played dirty, Ning Feng wouldn't bother being polite. He suddenly remembered a forbidden spell he'd never used and thought this was an opportunity to try it on Zhao Cheng. The forbidden spell called Beast Transformation belonged to the Dark System. It used mental force to control the target's mind, turning them into a powerful clone for a short time. Mind-invading possession fit him perfectly. Ning Feng muttered. On Zhao Cheng's side, tonight's party felt bland without Wang Duet, so he ended it early to drag his friends elsewhere. About the badge, he confidently told his inner circle he'd sent people to find Ning Feng. If that brat didn't cooperate, they'd let him taste what it's like to live worse than dead. A friend worried that if Wang Duet found out, it would be a big problem. Zhao Qing scoffed arrogantly, "I don't care. Do you want her all to yourself?" Hearing this, Zhao Qing shrugged, sounding regretful, "True, but unfortunately this transfer mission wasn't like you said. Teach me a lesson. I told you to let the boss go a bit to crush Wang Duet's spirit, scare her, then I'd play the hero and save the beauty." Unexpectedly, Wang Duet risked injury and still killed the boss. At that moment, a tall figure suddenly appeared before them. Recognizing the blond man sent to find Ning Feng, Zhao Qing snapped, "Why did this bastard show up out of nowhere? Did you get the information I wanted?" The blond man did not answer but asked in turn, his voice strange, "Did you people hurt Duet Ni?" The question stunned Zhao Cheng and his teammates. He stepped forward, slapped the blond man hard across the face, and barked, "How dare you pry into my business? Are you crazy?" But no sooner had he finished speaking than Zhao Cheng felt a terrifying surge of power erupt. It was the blond man, no, Ning Feng in disguise, who had both hands clamped around his throat. His eyes burned like fire, his voice icy, "You dare hurt Duet Ni, you don't deserve to live, but I won't let you die so easily." Instantly, Zhao Cheng and his cronies began to deform, as if their souls were being drained, dissolving bit by bit. Within moments, both had vanished completely as if they'd never existed. Using the forbidden spell, Nin Fong had turned them to dust, erasing all traces. He curled his lip, thinking this was the perfect way to leave no evidence. But the incident left Nin Fong uneasy. His home was just an ordinary unit in a small district, it couldn't keep awakened beings out. Although with his current strength he feared no one, he couldn't stay home 24/7. At first he planned to use the Demon King's memories to create some important items, but now he was glad he hadn't started, otherwise outsiders might have discovered him and caused major trouble. Nin Fong decided to do a quick cleanup and temporarily stay at Duan's place. After all, Duan was a fourth-stage powerhouse and his villa's security was far better than Nin Fong's. At Duan's villa, Nin Fong recounted everything that had just happened. Duan listened, his face darkening, eyes blazing with anger. He snarled that anyone who dared touch the elder must have a death wish. Then he turned to Nin Fong, his voice low and determined, "Elder, rest a bit, I'll quickly investigate whether any bastard is behind this filthy business." Nin Fong waved his hand, calm but with a flash of cold in his eyes. "No rush. Actually, I have something else to ask. Do you know a reliable alchemist? Preferably someone of decent skill you can trust, ideally with a free status and as few connections as possible." Duan frowned slightly, thought for a moment, and replied, "If so, I know an alchemist, his skill isn't bad, but they've joined a major guild." Hearing that, Nin Fong shook his head firmly, "No." From the memories absorbed from the Demon King, he knew the Demon King had eliminated several high-level alchemists. The medicines they crafted were far superior to those in this world. Unfortunately, Nin Fong lacked details and could only gather antidotes and find an expert to synthesize them. However, alchemists belonging to large guilds were hard to hide and carried a higher risk of secrets being exposed. After today's lesson, he didn't want to attract greedy people prematurely. After thinking for a while, Nin Fong looked at Duan and said in a low voice, "If an opportunity arises later, please keep an eye out for me. I'll also ask others." Soon after, Wang Duet approached, her eyes lighting up as she introduced, "If Nin Fong is interested, I know a reliable alchemist. He's the elder brother of Priest Tu Din on my team. His skills are decent, he intended to join my guild, but he and Zhao Qing didn't get along, so the deal fell through." Hearing the name Zhao Qing, Nin Fong sneered slightly, a mocking smile flashing across his face. Wang Duet had been unlucky to have been on the same team as him, but thanks to Nin Fong she had escaped that ordeal. From now on, Zhao Qing wouldn't have another chance to cause trouble for her. Suddenly, Nin Fong's intention to find an alchemist piqued Wang Duet's curiosity, her eyes sparkled with interest. She asked him inquisitively, "Why look for an alchemist?" To answer, Nin Fong smiled faintly and said calmly, "I just found some medicines in the house and want to invite someone to take a look." He mentioned the badge he once gave her, saying he found it in the house this time too, which made Wang Duet suspicious. Nin Fong could only shrug and say casually, "I'm just cleaning the house." Thanks to Wang Duet's arrangement, Nin Fong quickly met the alchemist. His name was Tu Noi, elegant in bearing and exuding scholarly poise. As soon as Tu Noi saw Nin Fong, he looked at him steadily and in a calm voice. The boy handed him the medicine to examine. Outside, Tu Din waited, annoyed at being kicked out by his brother. She had planned to try to get to know Nin Fong, but resigned herself to standing outside. Meanwhile, Tu Noi scrutinized Nin Fong's concoction. He frowned slightly, noting the ingredients were unremarkable, but the preparation method was something he'd never seen before and seemed rather complex. Then he looked up and asked, "Do you know what this medicine does?" Nin Fong replied, "I heard it can double the experience gain." Hearing that, Tu Noi started, his eyes widening in astonishment. It was the first time he'd heard of such a thing. He explained, "The strongest experience potions on the market currently only reach 40% and are already expensive. If there really is a potion that increases experience by 100%, wouldn't 1 and 2-star professions level up in a flash?" Nin Fong nodded, speaking cautiously, "That's roughly it, but I'm not sure, so I didn't want to casually ask others, that's why I came to you for a check." Tu Noi nodded, his eyes brightening with resolve. "I'll start testing right away, go wait outside for a bit." Nin Fong stepped out and sat waiting. Suddenly, a piercing scream from Tu Noi in the lab made everyone start. From the sound, everyone guessed something terrible had happened inside, and they all rushed in to see. At the door, Tu Din saw the slim, Tu Noi's test subject, flying out in a panic. Smoke and flames billowed, the lab looking as if it had just endured a fierce battle. Yet Tu Noi was radiant, a small spark still flickering from his finger, his voice full of excitement. It's a success, it's truly 100%. Wang Duet and Tu Din stood dumbfounded, eyes wide, unable to comprehend what he was saying. Tu Noi turned to Nin Fong with a beaming smile. Little brother Nin, I drank a bit of the potion and used the slim to test it. Experience really did increase by 100%. Nin Fong nodded slightly, secretly delighted. If this potion worked, perhaps other formulas could be viable too. Seeing Tu Noi excited, Nin Fong smiled faintly while Tu Noi resumed summoning fire orbs, leaving the lab even more wrecked. Tu Din gaped, unable to believe the scene. Her brother, who treasured this lab more than gold, had just ruined it with his own hands. Now Wang Duet and Tu Din understood the effect of the potion Tu Noi had tested, 100% experience gain, and both were astonished, mouths agape. Tu Noi quickly signaled for silence, lowering his voice, keep your mouths shut and be careful to keep this secret. Then he looked at Nin Fong, eyes glittering. What do you plan to do next? If you sell this outside, you'd make an unimaginable fortune. It's dangerous out there now, no one will refuse anything that boosts their power. Nin Fong pondered silently, not answering immediately. He was still weighing his options, his expression thoughtful. Just then, his phone vibrated and a new message popped up in the group chat. It was from Ms. Kai, a schoolteacher. She announced the school was planning a level-up training session for all third-year students in the nearby city's hidden zone starting next Monday. Because the training grounds are small, classes will be zoned and scheduled. Please prepare carefully and cooperate actively. As soon as the message was sent, the group chat erupted. Some classmates discussed that hidden zones have been overcrowded lately, with too few monsters to go around. The reason is widespread panic. 1- and 2-star professions are force leveling to protect themselves. Many rushed to buy experience vials, but word was they sold out in seconds. Without experience potions, they feared falling behind. After reading the message, Nin Fong nodded slightly, determination flashing in his eyes. With this experience potion, he'll let his family use it first. After some consideration, he said in a low voice that he'd wait a while before putting it on the market. Hearing this, Tu Din's eyes lit up, excited. She turned to him and asked if she and he were from the same family. When Nin Fong answered yes, she cheered, voice full of excitement, elder. Then she patted her chest and declared, from now on Wang Duet and I will be your bodyguards, and my brother can use it freely, no need to be polite. Nin Fong curled his lips slightly, his gaze deep. He knew once this potion hit the market it would become a priceless treasure, capable of shocking everywhere. The benefits were enormous, and people like Zhao Cheng would surely swarm in. To be safe, he first had to cultivate those close to him and strengthen his own power. Then, if anyone acted rashly, he'd deal with them. Thinking that, Nin Fong suddenly remembered Wang Duet's team. He looked at her calmly, there's a berserker named Chu Zhang on your team, right? I want to give him a share of this experience potion. Wang Duet and Tu Din brightened, happy for Chu Zhang. Yesterday he was worried he wouldn't have enough strength to pass the entrance exam with everyone else. Nin Fong judged Chu Zhang to be competent and close to Wang Duet, so he would surely be useful later. At this, Tu Noi's eyes glittered and he too began calling Nin Fong elder. He looked at him curiously, are there any other potions like this? Nin Fong didn't answer immediately, silently handing another prescription for Tu Noi to examine. Tu Noi examined the formula intently, brows slightly furrowing. Many ingredients listed were ones he'd never heard of, only 2 pages contained materials he recognized, but at his current level he couldn't produce them. Nin Fong nodded slightly, his expression thoughtful. As he'd guessed, these were otherworldly formulas, being able to use even a few of them would be miraculous. Wang Duet interjected enthusiastically, since they were talking about this, she had an idea. Once the first batch of experience potions was ready, they'd call the group together to level up. She looked at Nin Fong with a bright smile, you should come with us for this training. Although Nin Fong intended to decline, Wang Duet was insistent, eyes sparkling, don't worry. The city just announced guilds are allowed to lead teams out for leveling. He only needed to go along with everyone. So on Monday morning, Nin Fong stood at the meeting point waiting for Wang Duet's team. At that moment, a bus carrying his class passed by. Seeing Nin Fong, several students on the bus snickered, their tones full of sarcasm. He didn't go out for training today. What is he doing? Bagging sand for the class, another jeered contemptuously. They couldn't even find him as a servant. Who's protecting whom in the hidden zone with such a low-rank lackey? A harsher voice sneered about that trashy guy. What are you doing? You might as well go back to sleep. At the entrance to the hidden zone, people queued in a long line waiting to enter. Ms. Kai was leading Nin Fong's class in line. It was expected to take about 2 more hours before their turn. The students grew restless, complaining about the long wait. Ms. Kai reassured them calmly, saying our class too is among the first to enter, just getting in is already great. Just then, the whole class suddenly froze. They widened their eyes when they saw Nin Fong, the one they just mocked, walking shoulder to shoulder with Wang Duet's team, exuding imposing momentum. The sight of him striding in with the team, bypassing the line and boldly entering the hidden zone, left the class stunned and jealous. Ms. Kai observed with a thoughtful look, guessing Nin Fong's group planned to penetrate deeply inside. What the crowd whispered about was that their team was only a few people, unlike the throngs packed here. Some jealous students spat venomously. How dare Nin Fong go deep into the hidden zone? A random monster could kill him. Another grumbled, eyes red, how am I worse than that useless Nin Fong? I also want to be led by Lady Wang of the Tutor Guild. At that moment, a stranger approached and asked curiously, the Lady Wang you two mentioned, is that Wang Duet? She's Wang Duet, ranked 5th on the National Supernova Leaderboard. After hearing the confirmation, the man immediately led his team straight into the hidden zone. Watching them enter casually, someone outside grit his teeth, jealousy in his voice. What noble families are those kids from? How do you not know them? Another replied with a mix of admiration and resentment. Apparently those 3 who look like Wang Duet are all figures on the National Supernova Leaderboard. Huang Ma Thursday is ranked 4th, Lai Kok stands 3rd, and in 2nd place is Ko Van Chu. By now Wang Duet's team had advanced deep into the hidden zone. Chu Din secretly handed the experience vial to Chu Zhang. Upon receiving it, he became so excited he couldn't contain himself and shouted, this is a 100% experience potion. Chu Din hurriedly smacked him a few times, frowning and hissing, shut your mouth. Do you want everyone to hear? Chu Zhang scratched his head, embarrassed by his overexcitement. He turned to Tu Noi and asked if such a medicine was very expensive. Tu Noi smiled calmly, actually it's fairly reasonable. The ingredients aren't overly rare and the preparation isn't too complicated, but that very accessibility makes the potion valuable. If you can increase your power at a relatively low cost, I believe no one would refuse. With this, Nin Fong would become a top patron for any guild. Hearing that, both Chu Zhang and Tu Din looked at Nin Fong with full respect and said in unison, Elder, words of thanks are unnecessary, just tell us if you need anything. Nin Fong smiled lightly and warmly, we're all family, no need for formalities. His relaxed manner made Wang Duet quietly relieved and inwardly reassured. She knew Nin Fong wasn't good at socializing and had always had few friends. Especially since age 16, after his failed awakening, the whole school had mocked him. Which made him increasingly withdrawn, it was rare to see him smile so genuinely. Wang Duet secretly hoped that from now on Nin Fong would regain his spirit and open up more. She cleared her throat and, eyes serious, scanned everyone as she spoke. This time we don't have a shield or a mage, so we must fight extremely carefully. Personal safety comes first. Nin Fong, you don't need to engage, avoid drawing the monster's attention. I'll handle luring the enemies, the berserker will mainly hold them off. Tu Din, focus on buff skills, Tu Noi use the potion as needed. Hearing Wang Duet's plan, Nin Fong frowned slightly, pondering, if we keep going like this, it'll be hard for you to level up quickly. But seeing everyone's unity, he smiled faintly and thought, maybe I should cooperate a bit. After all, using a forbidden spell to level up only takes a day or two, no rush, first let's gauge everyone's strength. Wang Duet drew her bow, and each member dashed forward, instantly slaying several monsters in the blink of an eye. Next, Tu Din unleashed a thunderous rallying strike, coordinating smoothly with Chu Jang. The two produced a terrifying shockwave, a single sword sweep that cleared the pack of monsters. The finisher was Tu Noi, his potion erupted, incinerating the monsters to ash. After the flawless coordination, Tu Noi was elated, eyes shining. He hadn't expected experience points to increase so rapidly. If this continued, they could craft new potions. He turned to Chu Jang and Tu Din, laughing aloud. John Thursday and Tu Din could both reach second tier before the exams, strong enough to enter top universities with Wang Duet. Just then, a hearty laugh echoed from deep within the cave. Chu Jang scowled and shouted, "Who?" A figure stepped out, laughing as he spoke. "Forgive me, I really didn't mean to laugh. But I truly couldn't hold it in. That lot aren't even second tier yet they want to get into top universities. Is it that easy?" Amusing. Tu Din squinted and immediately recognized them as the people from the National Supernova Leaderboard. The leader, Ko Van Chu, laughed heartily. "Looks like our reputation isn't bad, recognized us this fast." Chu Jang wondered aloud in a low voice, "Those people aren't from near Tandu City, why are they here?" Wang Duet stepped forward, eyes cold. "Our team is leveling, what do you want?" Ko Van Chu curled a lip, confident. "Wang Duet, we came specifically to find you. We'd like to ask, are you interested in joining our team?" The offer sounded tempting, but Wang Duet bluntly refused. "No thanks, I already have my own team." He raised an eyebrow, sarcastic. "I know your team even has a mage named Zhao Qing ranked 14th on the national supernova list. If he agrees, you might have a shot, though his rank is a bit low, we'll overlook it." Wang Duet frowned but showed no sign of wavering. "Haven't I made myself clear yet, or are you quick to refuse?" Ko Van Chu sneered arrogantly. "Tandu is such a small town, your information must be behind. Let me explain a bit. Because the hidden zones change frequently and monsters have grown tougher, the three top universities have raised their evaluation standards. This year they only recruit elite teams or individuals. The conditions are favorable but slots are scarce. This is a rare opportunity. We elite students are forming a team, and we're no exception. The reason I chose you is because of your team. Don't forget, you are someone destined to become powerful." He glanced at Chu Jang and Tu Din with contempt. "They're just a weak bunch, that's their greatest sin." Ko Van Chu's words cut like a knife, making Wang Duet clench her sword, eyes blazing and ready to charge. Tu Din rushed forward to advise, "Forget it, let's move somewhere else to level. Don't bother with them." Hearing this, Wang Duet snorted coldly and refused to argue. "Signal the team, move out." The team began to move, but Nin Fong remained standing, lost in thought. He muttered, "That mage is irritating. Duyet just awakened a new calling, I wonder if she can handle them." At that moment, a burly man suddenly blocked their path. Bellowing arrogantly, "Are you Zhao Qing?" When Nin Fong replied he was not, the man instantly adopted a contemptuous tone and sneered, "Trash, get lost." The words had barely left his mouth when killing intent flickered in Nin Fong's eyes like a flame about to burst. But before he could act, Chu Jang lunged forward, standing between them and shouting, "Don't be so outrageous. You alone think you can save people, is that it?" The man said nothing further and immediately launched an attack straight at Chu Jang. Seeing the danger, Wang Duet prepared to rush up to support Chu Jang, but Ko Van Chu deliberately stepped in to block her. His obstructive action drove Wang Duet furious. She glared and snarled, "Get out of the way." Despite that, Ko Van Chu stood firm, thick-faced, as if he hadn't heard a thing. Chu Jang's situation on the other side grew worse and worse. After the last blow, he clutched his chest as if several ribs were cracked. Despite the pain, he gritted his teeth and stood in front of Nin Fong, shouting, "Step back a little." But the man opposite became even more arrogant, sneering with contempt, "John Thursday is just trash." The insult poured fuel on the fire. Chu Jang couldn't help raising his fist to punch the man's face. But he was a beat slower, and the opponent's fist was already at his face. Wang Duet and Tu Din simultaneously raised their weapons, ready to rush in. But before they could move, a figure flashed. Nin Fong, no one noticed when he moved, took action. With one hand he gently stopped the arrogant man's attack. The sight left everyone around with their mouths agape, eyes wide as if witnessing a miracle. The man facing Nin Fong was utterly bewildered, muttering, "Why can't I move? Isn't he a mage by appearance? How does he have such strength?" While the man was still thinking, Nin Fong grabbed his arm and hurled him as if he were a sack of sand. He flew out and slammed hard into the ground, sending rocks scattering. When it was over, Nin Fong even curled his lip and said coldly, "He's trash." Seeing his teammate knocked down so badly, Ko Van Chu rushed in to help, but before he could take a few steps, Wang Duet had drawn her bow and shot an arrow that hit him square in the butt. Ko Van Chu yelped in pain, eyes watering as he grabbed his rear and hopped. The seamless cooperation between Wang Duet and Nin Fong left Tu Din stunned, silently wondering. A supposedly unarmed mage defeats a berserker, a close-range archer hits the meat shield, am I dreaming? Ko Van Chu and Lai Kok, both elites on the supernova list, now stood frozen. Nin Fong no longer bothered to hide his power. His cold voice rang out, "I just want to live quietly, yet one or two people keep forcing me to show my hand. So annoying." He turned to Tu Din and ordered decisively, "Quickly heal the berserker, don't just stand there." Obeying, Tu Din hurriedly cast his skill and began healing Chu Zhang. As for the supernovas, Nin Fong glanced over and asked, "Berserker, how do you want to deal with them?" Chu Zhang scratched his head and replied respectfully, "I don't know either, everyone's been following your orders." This form of address made Nin Fong pause briefly, feeling unfamiliar. The sudden awe and fear from everyone made him a bit embarrassed. After a moment's thought, Nin Fong narrowed his eyes and commanded, "Berserker, strip their gear, consider it compensation." Hearing this, Ko Van Chu screamed, his face crimson. "This is robbery, how dare you!" Before he finished speaking, Nin Fong threw a punch that sent Ko Van Chu flying dozens of meters. He stepped forward, raised his fist, and in a voice as cold as ice asked, "What did you just say?" Ko Van Chu's expression immediately went dumb. He stammered, "Actually my gear isn't bad. If you like it, take it." He hurriedly added, voice trembling, "Consider yourself reasonable, I'm someone who hates trouble. If I knew you'd take revenge later." Before Nin Fong could finish, Ko Van Chu babbled on frantically, "There will be no revenge. We were blind and missed Mount Tai, we deserve this." The woman beside her in the supernova team also automatically stripped off her gear and handed it to Tu Din for Nin Fong to inspect. Seeing this, Nin Fong was momentarily stunned. Lucky. She's quite sensible. When it was done, he waved his hand, voice decisive, "Consider things with that group finished here. Our team, move forward and continue leveling." The team moved, and only then did Wang Duet speak, eyes glittering as she looked at Nin Fong. She'd planned to lead him to level, but who knew he was so formidable? "Heh heh." Wang Duet frowned, a hint of reproach in her voice. "You know I just awakened, being too flashy would be troublesome." "Yeah." Then she shook her head and smiled softly, "If you don't want to say, I won't pry, after all, you've always been like that." Suddenly she turned and patted Nin Fong on the shoulder, eyes warm. "Thanks, you're still the one who understands me best, Diet Ni." Nin Fong smiled in response, making Wang Duet blush briefly. She patted his shoulder once more, excitedly, "Anyway, I'm just glad you came here." At this, Chu Zhang and Tu Din both looked at Nin Fong curiously. "Have you thought which university or guild you'll join?" Nin Fong shook his head slightly, calm voice, "I haven't thought about that yet." Hearing this, Tu Din and Chu Zhang nodded, eyes shining with admiration. Tu Din sighed, "If only I could be like the great elder, no need to worry about exams." The reason Nin Fong hadn't decided was that he knew places like universities or guilds were strictly regulated, a little carelessness could expose his secret. Joining them seemed unnecessary to him. After thinking, Nin Fong enthusiastically turned to his teammates, voice firm, "Go deeper and speed up leveling. Whenever Diet Ni pulls more monsters, I'll be the main damage dealer. The rest just need to mop up the stragglers." Although he couldn't use the forbidden spell, thanks to added attributes, passive skills, and equipment, Nin Fong was still strong enough to dominate. After several days of leveling in the hidden zone, he returned to the Duan mansion, looking tired. He sighed, thinking that after hard work for days he only gained one level. Without the new experience potion, progress would have been even slower. Used to sweeping monsters with forbidden spells to level up, he nearly forgot this was the normal pace. Supernovas like Wang Duet could reach level 60 in 2 years and complete second transfer. For one, or 2-star ordinary professions, it's less trouble to take regular university exams than to grind small monsters every day. Thinking this made Nin Fong even lazier. He muttered, I'll stop overthinking, I'll laze at home secretly, relax for a few days, otherwise I'll have to compete with others after getting stronger. Right after, Nin Fong plunged into days of indulgence. He and Duan immersed themselves in intense game matches, then shifted to snoring away, and afterward returned to overeating, enjoying their free life. Suddenly his phone rang. Duong Hin called, voice excited, there's an auction coming up, I've heard there are many good items. Master Duong, who just arrived, asked if he was interested in participating. The Master Duong Hin mentioned was the one who replaced Master Vong. Nin Fong yawned, lazy voice, I haven't had much to do lately, I can go take a look. But before he could go, Duong Hin smiled brightly, no need for you to come, Master Duong and I will drop by your place later and will send the auction list for you to preview. Hearing that, Nin Fong slightly curled his lips, silently judging that Master Duong seemed more personable than Master Vong. Soon, Duong Dat Tai and Duong Hin arrived at the mansion. Duong Dat Tai, an appraiser from the Tandu branch of the Trade Bureau, entered with a respectful demeanor. Seeing Nin Fong about to shake hands, he hurriedly bowed lower, voice deferential, I dare not, first time meeting, hope the great elders will favor me. The reason Duong Dat Tai was so deferential was that before coming, Mayor Tai had specifically instructed him to serve Nin Fong attentively. The mayor even emphasized that it would be fine if the entire Trade Bureau served only Nin Fong. After the greetings, Duong Dat Tai signaled to Duong Hin to quickly hand the auction list to Elder Nin for review. Nin Fong skimmed a few pages with an indifferent look. Only a few pieces of gear and potions suited for mages appeared, but he had no interest in using them. Seeing him flip through the list like the wind, Duong Dat Tai broke out in a cold sweat, thinking the worst. Elder Nin scanned so fast and nothing caught his eye. I underestimated his strength, this time I've turned a sure thing into a fiasco. Just then, Nin Fong's gaze suddenly halted, as if he had noticed something. Duong Dat Tai hurriedly spoke up, eyes glittering with admiration. It really is good to his eye. As expected, he chose this. This was the newest experience potion, able to increase received experience by 100%, extremely rare, most suitable for high-level elders to level up. But hearing that, suspicion rose in Nin Fong. That 100% experience potion was the one he and Tu Noi had made. Now its appearance on the auction list made him uneasy. He fixed Duong Dat Tai with a stern look and asked coldly, where did you get this potion? Duong Dat Tai quickly replied with deference, this item was consigned to the auction by the Thuong Hu Guild. Elder Nin, is something wrong? The Thuong Hu Guild is one of the nation's 7 top-tier guilds, with formidable strength. Nin Fong frowned, guessing to himself that either Tu Noi secretly sold the potion to them, or someone had done something to Tu Noi. He pressed further, eyes sharp, had they ever said where this potion came from? Duong Dat Tai hurried to explain, it was reported they discovered a new type of secret zone called the Divine Trial. It can only be cleared solo. The zone appears to have multiple floors, and each floor offers corresponding rewards. This potion was one of the rewards for members who cleared the trial. Duan standing beside him frowned slightly, this was the first time he'd heard the name, could it be a mutated secret zone? He added to Nin Fong, per government requirements, any secret zone that activates must be filed, basic information can be looked up on the official website. Hearing that, Nin Fong exhaled softly, relieved. Tu Noi was fine, that was good. But the name Divine Trial made him sense an unusual aura, as if the place concealed formidable power. At that moment, the system in his head suddenly pinged with a quest notification. Main quest, Divine Trial Secret Zone. Conquer the secret zone and make it your strength. Time limit 60 days, failure penalty, the host will be destroyed. Upon hearing the quest, blood surged in Nin Fong and his eyes lit up with excitement. It was the first time a system-given quest and the name Divine Trial had stirred such a strange, potent attraction in him. He turned to Duong Dat Tai and Duong Hin, voice gentle but firm, I won't participate in this auction, still, thanks to Master Duong and Duong Hin for coming. The remark left Duong Dat Tai and Duong Hin slightly embarrassed and surprised, they hadn't expected Nin Fong to be so indifferent to the auction. Duong Dat Tai forced a smile, keeping up his deference. If Elder Nin needs anything later, feel free to contact me. He glanced at the list with regret, that experience potion was surely the ace of the auction. Many guilds had fought over it, yet Elder Nin didn't care. But what Nin Fong cared about was not the auction but the Divine Trial's secret zone. Duan immediately began searching excitedly. Let me look up information about this secret zone right away. However, accessing information on the Divine Trial required an account with special permissions. Fortunately Duan possessed a privilege card previously granted by Mayor Truong, which allowed him to log in successfully. Before them appeared an image of a majestic tower, the Divine Trial's secret zone. Duan frowned. Huanghu Guild had registered exclusive rights, the government allowed them to self-manage, and outsiders without permission could not enter. Nin Fong nodded, eyes deep. The system had declared the quest, if he didn't complete it, he would be destroyed. He vowed to find another way. At the gate of the Divine Trial's secret zone, Huanghu Guild kept strict guards day and night. Under the pale moonlight, Nin Fong watched quietly, his identity hidden by the forbidden spell. He noticed that Huanghu Guild had publicized much information about the secret zone on personal forums to attract powerful players. This inadvertently helped him understand the place better. Nin Fong's plan began to take shape, his eyes flashing with determination. He would use his stealth skill to infiltrate the secret zone. With the forbidden spell, he was confident no one in Huanghu Guild could detect him. After calculating everything, Nin Fong charged in confidently. As he slipped past the guards, the kid cheekily stuck out his tongue to tease them. At the exact moment Nin Fong reached the secret zone gate, a thunderous explosion suddenly rang out, blasting the guards away. Nin Fong was also thrown back into the antechamber, battered and bleeding, looking utterly miserable. In fact, the moment he touched the secret gate, a massive surge of energy burst out from within, strong enough to completely shatter his taint suppression seal. No matter how hard he tried to reason it out, Nin Fong couldn't understand what supernatural event had just occurred. At that moment, the system sent him a series of urgent alerts. The immune system rechecked and had taken 3% damage, cumulative injury 3%. Hearing that, Nin Fong was astonished, even the system was damaged. He wondered what kind of skill could be so terrifying. Then the system kept sending damage notices, 4% more, cumulative damage 7%. 24 hours later, due to the aftershock caused by the incident Nin Fong triggered, people soon came to the trial's secret zone to inspect the situation. After examining the two gate guards, a man in white diagnosed them as merely stunned, no physical injuries on their bodies. At that moment, one of the gate guards regained consciousness. When he opened his eyes, he saw the guildmaster standing before him and was startled. It was Master Ha Su Vu of the Thuong Ne Guild. He asked about what had happened. What occurred just now? The guard answered in a trembling voice, I don't know either. The divine trial gate suddenly exploded and I passed out. Had nothing happened before this? Could the secret zone have mutated? To clarify previous events, she immediately created a special magic array. This array could reverse time. The secret zone possessed a unique formation that not only recorded images inside and around it but could also use time reversal to review past events. After a moment, images on the array gradually appeared, but only as a vague dark silhouette, details couldn't be seen clearly. At that instant, the deity suddenly appeared, voice imposing, impudent demon, how dare you trespass in my domain. As soon as the words fell, he launched a direct strike of cultivated power straight at the dark silhouette. Unfortunately, all his efforts were futile, he couldn't do anything to it. He immediately ordered people to track down that figure, determined not to let it destroy their world. After that, the dark image of Nin Fong was taken back to the guild. They believed this was the first glimpse of the true existence of the divine deity. This was Luan Chan, the guild president whose power commanded respect from the authorities. He judged that although the divine deity's identity was unclear, the magic it released was enough to reach the legendary ceiling tier level. Picking up Luan Chan's point, Huang Chu, head of the Epic Guild, spoke up, Guildmaster Ha, I recall from your reports that by completing the trial one can receive the divine deity's certification in grace, right? Du Lin Hoa, the Story Archive Guildmaster, interjected, the secret zone does indeed contain such information, but we never expected an actual deity to appear. She continued, ceiling tier magic can't destroy the fiend, this could be significant news. Hearing her, Lac Noyet Nin agreed, if the fiend intended to destroy our world, there might be no way to stop it. If one could gain the divine deity's grace through the trial, perhaps there would be a way to deal with the fiend. For example, that ceiling tier magic, maybe it's real and could work. Hearing their eager discussion, Ha Su-vu realized their intent. They wanted to sweep through the Divine Trial's secret zone and were hoping he'd open it for them. After a moment's thought, Ha Su-vu spoke, "If you wish to take the trial I won't oppose it, but I must warn you, the monsters in the trial are extremely ferocious. With our current strength we simply cannot get through. We likely don't qualify for the divine deity's grace." At Ha Su-vu's words, Lu Wan-chan paid it little mind and turned his gaze toward Lao Fong to ask his opinion. Lao Fong's portrait appeared, exuding a mysterious, eerie air with blazing red eyes and even teeth. Hearing the question, Lao Fong burst into loud laughter and replied, "What could I possibly think? Aren't each of you already quite powerful?" In response, Lion Chan sighed, "Don't be angry, it's not a big matter yet, which is why we called you back." Lao Fong growled, eyes flashing with displeasure. "In your view, outside people and mutated ones like us, what counts as a big deal? My disciple reported abnormalities in Tandu City, and you dismissed it, then formed an investigation team. What came of that? The investigation found nothing, yet you made a fuss. If not for the mysterious elder of Tandu City helping you clean up that mess, how many innocent people would you have harmed?" At this point, Lao Fong's image became vividly clear. He no longer looked entirely human but exactly like the legendary dark silhouette. Feng Gak, the former overseer, seeing this visage of the dark silhouette, Lion Chan truly dared not meet his gaze. He urged the silhouette to calm down before anger flared. The silhouette had assumed that form because the price of dark power had grown severe, prompting some to withdraw from sight. Unexpectedly, he had shown up here today. At that, Lion Chan continued to Feng, "My suggestion, could your disciple show the footage to the mysterious elder in Tandu City? With that elder's strength, he might recognize something." Hearing this, Feng smiled with a hint of sarcasm. "You're only remembering my disciple now. You really are." Before Feng could finish, Lion Chan cut in, offering that he had 2 casks of fine wine to deliver later as praise for the disciple's deeds. The disciple's merits were about to be approved anyway. Because of that, Feng finally relaxed and agreed to Lion Chan's proposal. Meanwhile, the system sent Nin Fong a new quest titled, "No Problem, It's a Small Matter." Second stage achieved, system fully restored. Time limit 60/60th days, failure penalty, the host will be destroyed. Reading the quest title, Nin Fong noted that although the system had been damaged, it showed no concern. Thinking back to last night, Nin Fong still felt frightened, unsure what he'd done wrong. Stepping into the parlor, Nin Fong saw Lao Feng and To Lam sitting with Duan. At the sight of Nin Fong, the 3 rose. Lao Feng looked at Nin Fong kindly and smiled, asking, "You're Nin Fong's classmate, right?" Nin Fong was momentarily stunned and asked in surprise, "Who are you?" Hearing his question, To Lam immediately introduced, "This is the former supervisor of the Silhouette, the current director of the Adventure Management Bureau, Mr. Feng Gak. This is Master Feng's disciple, you oversee the Silhouette in this province." To Lam added that the 2 of them had come today to request assistance from the mysterious elder. After learning the old man's identity, Nin Fong was quite stunned, his mouth dropped as he asked, "Are you Mr. Feng, the Vermilion Flame God?" In response, old Feng only smiled lightly and said, "That's just a bit of fame, not worth mentioning." Although he says that, everyone knows his reputation. He has countless merits, participated in many large-scale secret zone expeditions, and smashed numerous reckless adventure organizations. He is hailed as the strongest aberrant. Almost all members' identities in the Silhouette are kept secret, but Old Feng is an exception. His existence is a shock, truly an idol in the hearts of many young people. Old Feng surely ranked in the top 3. If someone could meet him and speak a few words, it would be a boast for half a lifetime. On first meeting Nin Fong, Old Feng said he had prepared nothing. Hearing that Nin Fong was about to take university entrance exams, he presented 5 million spirit coins and 200 high-tier experience potions entrusted by the government, wishing him success in his studies. 5 million spirit coins is indeed a very large sum. It was certainly not brought here to give away casually. After hesitating a moment, Nin Fong turned to ask Old Feng and To Lam, "Did you 2 come here for something?" Old Feng smiled and replied, eyes probing, he mainly wanted to invite the elder to view a video. "Since you're here, if you don't mind, let's watch it briefly. What Nin Fong paid special attention to in the video was the moment he was called a fiend. He could not accept that. A model high school student, a top student like him, when had he become a fiend? After a moment of shock, Nin Fong forced himself to calm down, telling himself to stay composed. At this point no one knew he was the fiend, he must not reveal any slip-ups. With that thought, Nin Fong pretended ignorance, and said calmly, I understand. Wait a moment, I will send the video to the elder, any news I will report to you promptly. Old Feng nodded, his face showing satisfaction. Then we'll rely on you. We'll leave and await good news. If you need assistance later, contact Talam directly. Having finished speaking, Talam handed his business card to Nin Fong. Only then did Nin Fong realize she had been the one to receive him on the day he received his transfer. Now everything was as clear as day, his identity as the great mysterious elder had been discovered by them. Leaving Du En's villa, Old Feng said thoughtfully, Nin Fong, the kid is indeed as you said, not bad, modest and polite, with a steady mind. He then emphasized decisively, if our authorities have the chance, no matter the cost, we must recruit the kid to our side. The disciple beside him looked skeptical and asked, Master, do you think Nin Fong and the great mysterious elder are the same person? Old Feng shook his head, voice firm, it doesn't matter. If Nin Fong wants us to see him as a student, then he is a student. A student like that is better for everyone. He paused, as if calculating, 5 million spirit coins given to a student, would people care? In terms of etiquette it's unimpeachable. If a student later becomes the great mysterious elder, what standards should we then use to treat him will be unclear. Old Feng's gaze grew distant, his tone full of worry. Enemies were growing stronger day by day, and as Ha Su Vu said, we lack the qualification to receive the deity's grace, but the great mysterious elder could become our strongest backing. Reflecting on what happened yesterday and using the system's inspection skill, Nin Fong guessed that it was at that moment the deity detected him. A single move that could disturb his absolute defense. Clearly the fellow's power had reached ceiling tier. Nin Fong felt this guy was truly dangerous. His urgent task now was to complete the first 2 missions. Mission 1, no problem, it's a small matter, advance to second stage, fully restore the system. The time limit for this mission is 60 days and the penalty for failure is host annihilation. Mission 2, cultivate divine ability through the divine trial secret zone, transforming the user's power. This mission has a 59-day limit, and failure results in host deletion as the penalty for Nin Fong. He knew the cultivation system was extremely important because in the end he'd have to rely on it. Regarding the trial mission, Nin Fong thought it might not be impossible to handle. He worried about the enemy's strength, if he couldn't use it for himself, it could very well become a mortal enemy. Mr. Feng had sent the documents, and now Duan would organize them and send them to Nin Fong for review. In fact, the Divine Trial Secret Zone is a tower divided into many floors, and only by completing them all can one know exactly what's inside. The monsters within are very strong, much stronger than those in other secret zones. The previous record was 42 floors, set by Guildmaster Ha Su Vu of the Thuong Na Guild. At present Nin Fong still didn't understand how the divine trial operated. If he accidentally triggered the divine deity's ceiling, his identity as the fiend would be exposed. But since the mission didn't specify it had to be him, Nin Fong predicted he could push someone else to do it. After Duan watched the video Ha Su Vu sent, Nin Fong asked him how many floors he could get through. With Duan's ability, he could clear about 35 floors. Knowing this, Nin Fong thought to himself that, as expected, Ha Su Vu was approaching 5th stage, his strength surpassed Duan. However, Duan was a lone wolf, only if he participated could Nin Fong feel secure. Nin Fong planned to give Duan a special training session. When Feng Gak learned that the great elder Nin Fong had sent someone to join the trial, he was very surprised and had to ask Talam several times before he believed it. Talam replied that Duan's recovery speed was as such, and since he wanted to borrow their training room, it was obvious he intended to train hard for a while. However, Talam also hesitated, since Duan had not yet reached 5th stage. If that's the case, Feng felt there was a problem. Yesterday the heads of the 7 great guilds all challenged the Divine Trial Secret Zone, and even the old demon Lu On Chan failed. This made Talam also find it hard to believe. Guildmaster Lu Anchan was a top national powerhouse, yet he failed. That was why he was very interested in Du En's training results. What could the great mysterious elder's direct guidance actually achieve? As he said this, Old Feng's head flared with smoke again, his expression extremely pained. This phenomenon of Old Feng is called flame blaze, a master of the realm recognized as an elder who burns his own life force. The more To Lam looked, the more worried she became. She wondered, is there truly no way left? In the training room, Duan and Nin Fong were now present. Seeing Duan, a fourth-stage powerhouse accompanying Nin Fong, Captain Chu was quite startled. Earlier, when Nin Fong entered the level-up secret zone, Captain Chu had rather looked down on him, saying the others went to kill monsters to level up. What did this brat intend to do? Now he regretted it. Fortunately he hadn't offended Nin Fong back then, or it would have been disastrous. Regarding the trial, To Lam said that as long as Duan provided full information, the training room would accurately simulate reality, usable by any fourth-stage powerhouse. After taking the documents from Duan, To Lam judged the information to be very accurate, even the monster's weaknesses were clearly identified. Even more impressive, Guildmaster Lu had just lost over a dozen floors, yet this place already grasped the information. Hearing To Lam, Nin Fong thought inwardly, of course, this secret zone was where the Demon King once infiltrated. I just need to pull some information from his memories. Who could understand his underlings' weaknesses better than the Demon King himself? Before Duan began the trial, Old Feng asked permission of Duan, may everyone observe for a bit? Duan replied, sure, I was just hoping you might give some pointers. Old Feng hurriedly waved his hand, we wouldn't dare give pointers, only to learn. He fell silent for a moment, then continued, by the way, there's some information we'd very much like to know. Has the great elder ever said the fiend truly intends to destroy the world? The question Old Feng asked today was one Duan had asked Nin Fong earlier. Is it true the fiend will destroy the world? Nin Fong felt he knew how to choose whom to ask. Aren't you the fiend yourself? Saying he didn't know now would be too convenient, but Nin Fong couldn't explain too much. After thinking, he found a way to answer. In the moment facing Old Feng, Duan bluntly repeated the words from years past. In reply, the great elder uttered 8 powerful words, as long as I'm here, nowhere will be destroyed. Hearing that, Old Feng unconsciously judged the answer, brief yet overflowing with dominance, as if in the elder's eyes even gods were not worth worrying about. Meanwhile, Nin Fong stood beside them grinning widely, secretly pleased with his quick thinking. When Duan entered the divine trial, he was immediately besieged by countless ferocious monsters. With his current strength, Duan could hold them off, but if the situation dragged on it would likely become untenable. Seeing this, Nin Fong couldn't hide his worry and hurriedly asked Duan if he wanted to come out and rest for a bit. Despite the unfavorable situation, Duan insisted on trying again. He valued this trial immensely, seeing it as the precious chance the great elder had given and not wanting to disappoint him. Watching Du En's performance, To Lam realized these monsters exceeded 4th stage level. She thought to herself that if it were her, she surely couldn't pass this challenge. At the same time, Old Feng remained lost in thought about Nin Fong. He recalled To Lam saying Nin Fong only awakened at 18 but completed 1st stage in days. He wondered whether some miracle lay hidden in Duan similar to Nin Fong. Old Feng guessed the great elder might help Duan break through to a combat tier, unleashing far greater power. If that happened, such a favor could rival the grace of the divine deity. However, events did not unfold as Old Feng had imagined. Nin Fong was now extremely worried for Duan. He blamed himself for naively thinking that merely knowing the monster's weaknesses would be enough to pass the trial. He had overlooked an important fact: humans are limited by gear and skills. Even if you know a monster's weak point, if you can't reach the opponent it becomes meaningless. Nin Fong realized that if Duan couldn't clear this trial, he would ultimately have to do it himself. With limited combat experience, Nin Fong understood he could only rely on the forbidden spell. However, that carried enormous risk if exposed. After resolving his thoughts, Nin Fong asked Old Feng and To Lam's permission to leave first, giving the excuse that classes began next week and he needed to prepare. In truth, Nin Fong's main goal was to grind levels. He was determined to level up quickly before school started. Ideally he could obtain gear or a skill good enough to substitute for Duan. To leave without being noticed, the best method was to use a travel axis. He had arranged for the interspace exchange to purchase a batch nearly sufficient for short-term use. Immediately after, Nin Fong rocketed off like a missile. No one could spot him. In moments, Nin Fong arrived, already clad in mage robes. The small cave emitting light before him was his target. It was one of the 2 wild secret zones Duan had mentioned. However, there were signs of a recent skirmish around the area. Seeing that, Nin Fong ignored it. He had to go in and see. Sure enough, a battle was underway inside the secret zone. These mutated people had probably wiped out all the mages who came here. Seeing the light of the travel scroll, they all laughed triumphantly, sure it was some idiot coming to try to destroy them, which was nothing but a death wish. Truly, the more of them that came, the more offerings would be sacrificed to the Demon King. Thanks to them, the Demon King had accumulated enough forces. Today would be the day the Demon King descended. As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd howled in response, rejoicing that the day had finally come. And all of what they said had been recorded onto the device attached to the companion who'd left the battle. Because of that, the group on this side learned that the Demon King was about to descend today. The secret zone on the mountain would trigger an invasion, and that invasion would strike the nearest city directly. That meant their city, Suanlang, would be in danger. Right now Squad 4 had been completely wiped out. Even if the whole team joined forces, they couldn't stop the invasion. The captain knew the secret zone was powerful, and the city's magical protective ring was ineffective. People basically had no means of defense. So the captain ordered everyone to return and urgently notify the government to evacuate residents, save as many as possible. They had no monitoring equipment and didn't know when the invasion would occur. The captain decided to stay and report the situation to others at any time. Given the situation, they had no choice but to follow the captain's orders and rush back to spread the warning. What would happen next? The captain had likely foreseen it. He wore a pained expression and muttered, "Why does it have to be today?" With that thought, he took out his phone and called his daughter. His voice choked, "Sweetheart, there might be an emergency drill shortly. Don't be afraid, listen to your mother, okay?" When his daughter asked where he was, he just said he was at work and a bit busy, couldn't talk long. After saying that, he hung up immediately, not waiting for her to say more. But the girl had a bad feeling and called back right away, asking, "Dad, why did you hang up?" "I have one more thing to say, happy birthday, Dad." Hearing that, tears streamed down his face and he couldn't speak. Leaving there, everyone still felt the surging dark power and predicted the invasion was about to begin. At the secret zone entrance, the fake mutated man laughed loudly in delight. He had sensed a massive power and was sure the Demon King would grant him even greater favor. Inside the secret zone, Nin Fong had now arrived and had just found an item called the Frost Ice Relic, an active skill, an extremely deep cold dark sealing spell that summons endless frost ice to descend, causing freezing ice to sweep across the world. Nin Fong assessed the place. The monster's experience points weren't low. In no time he reached level 37, and he could also learn a new skill. After a look through, Nin Fong decisively decided to learn this skill immediately. At the secret zone gate, the fake mutated crowd were already kneeling before the entrance, shouting, "All hail the Demon King." But to their surprise, the one who stepped out of there was Nin Fong. Nin Fong was quite stunned by the sight before him, questions flooding his mind. He blurted, "What the hell is going on?" They were as alarmed as Nin Fong and asked, "Where is the Demon King?" In fact, their Demon King was still inside the secret zone, frozen by Nin Fong and nearly reduced to a skeleton. Seeing that Nin Fong didn't know them, they were certain he wasn't the Demon King's avatar or another pretender. Observing him, the fake mutant noticed he was decked out entirely in newbie gear and wondered how he dared appear here alone. He recalled the light from the travel axis earlier and assumed Nin Fong had come to pledge loyalty to the Demon King but had been scared out by the overwhelming dark power. At that, he pointed and shouted in Nin Fong's face, "You brat, have you come to rely on the Demon King?" Nin Fong replied curtly, "No, what I do is none of your business." Hearing that, he laughed loudly with glee, his tone arrogant. "Do you know who your father is? I'm Ko Van, an A-rank criminal. I've taken more than 200 lives." To this threat, Nin Fong only said briefly, "Then die. Fight if you want, if not, get lost." "You stupid fool, do you want to die?" After he finished, the whole group shouted in unison, "Kill him now." But their aggressive expressions didn't last long. Their faces suddenly changed, every one of them looked terrified. Something was frightening them. From Nin Fong there burst a terrifying aura shaped like a grin, bearing fangs as if ready to devour them all alive. Exactly, it was Nin Fong's newly forged sealing spell. With them all there, he decided to test it, Kai Track Technique, an active, humiliating dark world sealing spell that plunges enemies into illusion, exposes every weakness, and can inflict brutal torment. By now Nin Fong had dissected every weak point on the mutant's body, his gaze cold as a blade. The result was clear, the target suffered damage to his left shoulder from overextension, reducing strength by 5%, speed by 5%, and skill effectiveness by 20%. Nin Fong couldn't help but be amazed at the finesse of this sealing. Every tiny flaw of the enemy was laid bare by the skill. Without hesitation, he lunged in, aiming precisely at the opponent's left shoulder. Within the illusion, he wielded his will like a merciless hunter, constantly gouging at the trapped enemy's weaknesses, like a demon playing with its prey. No wonder the skill was called Tormenting the World. Nin Fong privately judged this torment skill perverse, but its ability to see through weaknesses opened up exquisitely exploitable opportunities. From the foot of the mountain, the captain looked up, still clutching the comm device to report. Strangely, he muttered, so much time has passed and there are still no signs of the invasion on the mountain. Maybe I should go up and check. With resolve he added that if something unexpected happened, he wouldn't be able to run away anyway. Dying on the mountain or below it was only a few steps difference. When he set foot on the summit, the scene before him stunned him. A-rank fugitive Ko Van and all his subordinates had been annihilated. For members of the squad had sacrificed themselves to hunt Ko Van, yet now they had vanished like dust. "Captain, what's the situation inside the secret zone?" a voice called. He answered in a low voice that the secret zone inside seemed sealed by an ice storm, not a single monster remained alive. He paused, eyes fixed on the shattered ice pile. As for the secret zone boss, he sighed and shook his head, he'd accidentally broken it. "I only wanted to check if it was dead." Who knew the head would fall off at the touch? After defeating the mutated crowd, Nin Fong quickly returned to where Duan was waiting. Duan was still hard at work in the training chamber and only stopped when Nin Fong signaled him to rest. Looking at Nin Fong, Duan lowered his head, shame on his face. "I got stuck on floor 45, my abilities are still weak, I'm ashamed of the Elder's trust." Contrary to expectations, Nin Fong didn't blame him. Instead he placed a hand on Duan's shoulder and, in a warm, low voice, comforted him, "No need to rush, rest for a few days. This was mainly to let you understand the situation in the trial secret zone. Next week I'll arrange a special demon training session for you." Hearing that, Duan was moved until his eyes reddened, thinking the elder had abandoned him. Recovering himself, he brightened and asked at once, "What do you want for dinner tonight?" "I'll go make it right away." At the villa, in his spare time, Nin Fong took the chance to start a game. Just as he was engrossed, his phone rang. A message from Old Feng appeared, "Don't let me tag along, I'm terrible but very good." Reading the line, Nin Fong was briefly suspicious, thinking Old Feng's account might have been hacked. To be sure, he sent a voice clip, "This is the real me. Want to duo?" Hearing the familiar voice, Nin Fong immediately recognized it was indeed Old Feng. He couldn't help but be surprised, the stern man in real life could be so cute, and so practiced in conversation. The two quickly began the match. Nin Fong sent another teasing voice clip, "Didn't expect you to be so good at gaming." Old Feng laughed heartily. "I used to always play with my grandson, now he's busy with his graduation exams and plays less. Come to think of it, you two are the same age, if there's a chance later, let's do a 3-man team." Hearing the suggestion, Old Feng immediately nodded, excitedly setting up the match. As for Old Feng, Nin Fong always held him in respect. He was an upright man with an important government position. Building a good relationship with him would, Nin Fong believed, make things easier in the future. Old Feng then said that meanwhile 3 key universities were preparing a supernova training camp to select outstanding students. Based on performance, the top ones would be exempt from exams, admitted directly, and receive abundant development resources. "We still have 2 spots, do you want to go?" At first Nin Fong hadn't paid much mind to university, confident with his sealing spells, but now, thinking of confronting those called divinities, he realized his combat experience was seriously lacking. Without proper preparation, he'd likely suffer greatly. After consideration, Nin Fong immediately nodded, voice firm, I want to go. Hearing this, Old Feng smiled with satisfaction. Then I'll reserve the remaining 2 spots for you. If you know teammates, register together. Having said that, he stared at the photo on the table, his gaze briefly tender. The 2 kids look quite alike, you 2 might even become good friends. At number 7 high school in Tandu City, class 53-2 was heavy with tension. Students in the class were stressed about this year's university entrance scores. Never mind key universities, even the cutoff for combat majors at ordinary schools was sky high. Rumor had it many students failed the assessment, delaying graduation or being transferred directly into combat support majors. A disgruntled student pointed at Nin Fong, who was dozing on his desk, and complained, Awakeners of Tier 3, aren't we no better than 1 or 2-star trash? I'm really not satisfied at all. Just then, the class announcement sounded. Homeroom teacher Ms. Kai entered with a bright smile. Today our class has a new transfer student. I hope everyone will be kind and supportive. When the new student appeared, all the boys below blushed and stared in dazed silence. The girl had striking beauty, her hair flowing lightly, her eyes clear. Ms. Kai introduced her as the new classmate, she was quite pretty. Her name was Thuong Mok Thursday. Nin Fong looked up and immediately recognized her, the girl he'd met in the secret zone before. She had stripped off all her gear to give to his team. Hearing the name Thuong Mok Thursday, several students in the class buzzed. She ranked 4th on the national supernova list and had attended a top high school in a major city. No one understood why she would transfer to a small place like Tandu. After the introduction, Thuong Mok Thursday timidly asked, Ms. Kai, may I sit next to Nin Fong? Sure. Ms. Kai agreed. She walked to the seat beside Nin Fong, eyes lowered, cheeks slightly flushed, not daring to look up at him. Seeing this, the boys in class all shot Nin Fong burning, envious looks. Why him again? Why do all the beauties fall for Nin Fong? At the same time, in the principal's office, Mr. Truong, a high-ranking official, personally came to see Principal Thuong. With a serious face he pressed, what trick did you use to steal Thuong Mok Thursday from our school? Principal Thuong smiled to calm him, speaking soothingly, don't get worked up, I don't know anything about it. Not only had Thuong Mok Thursday transferred, she also brought a slot to participate in the training camp. That affects our university admission rate. You understand, right? Hearing this, Mr. Truong finally realized why he had traveled all that way to demand answers. Inside, Principal Thuong quietly rejoiced, thinking his school had really hit the jackpot. He covertly glanced at Mr. Truong, wondering if this man was the real big shot he usually only saw on TV. This year the provincial training camp had only 4 slots, and his school already secured 2. Just then someone rushed in and announced, Principal Thuong, someone wants to see you, they said they couldn't reach you by phone. Principal Thuong frowned and was about to reply when Mr. Truong interrupted impatiently, who is it? I'm speaking to Principal Thuong, his phone is on silent. The messenger replied, it's from the Adventurer Administration, Senior Feng Gak Feng. At that name, both principals were startled, faces going pale as if doused with cold water. Entering the room, Old Feng smiled warmly and shook Principal Thuong's hand enthusiastically, introducing himself as Feng Gak. He hadn't come alone, he brought a cold-looking teenager. This is my grandson, Feng Du, he introduced. Principal Thuong broke into a sweat, forcing a calm expression. How can I help you? Old Feng laughed heartily, mainly there's 2 matters I need your help with. First, my grandson wants to transfer to your school. The news struck like lightning, both principals had to steady themselves once more. Principal Thuong murmured to himself that if he remembered correctly, Feng Du ranked 12th on the national supernova list and was a bloodline dark cavalier. Rumor said he never unleashed his full power for fear of losing control, otherwise he'd be a top-ranked contender. This was truly unexpected. Principal Truong stood there, eyes flashing with barely concealed envy. He wondered why the bureau chief's grandson would choose such an obscure school to attend. Moreover, supernova-ranked students almost certainly earned a spot in the training camp. Doesn't that mean Principal Thuong's school gets another slot? Before they could recover, Old Feng continued, second, our administration has 2 slots for the training camp, to designate students from your school. Hearing this, Principal Truong was stunned, his jaw practically dropping to the floor. He screamed inwardly, "On what basis? We're just a backward county, yet you've given us 3 or 4 slots. Why are you treating this school so importantly?" But Principal Thuong no longer cared about Mr. Truong's expression. With an arrogant look, he coldly replied, "Sorry, as you can see, we're quite busy and can't receive you." Saying that, he signaled for someone to see Principal Truong out, then turned to warmly receive Old Feng and his grandson. Old Feng leisurely explained, "My meaning is that the 2 slots are for 3rd year, Class 2 students. Nin Feng can distribute them at will." Principal Thuong was slightly surprised and murmured, "If I'm not mistaken, Nin Feng only recently awakened. Can he participate in the training camp?" Old Feng smiled lightly, his voice calm but full of authority. "This is arranged by the administration, you don't need to ask much." Principal Thuong hurriedly nodded. Yes, we will fully cooperate." After this, Principal Thuong grew even more curious about Nin Feng. The administration is the agency that oversees adventurers, independent of the 7 great guilds, possessing enormous authority and influence. With Senior Feng's backing, anyone supported by the administration has a bright future. He couldn't understand how a student like Nin Feng had earned their special attention. What exactly was Nin Feng hiding in class 53-2? Questions flooded his mind. Why was Feng Du, Old Feng's grandson, standing behind him, and Thuong Mok Thursday sitting right beside him? Not only that, Wang Duet's team was all present around him. Unable to contain his curiosity, Nin Feng turned and asked, "Why did you all transfer into this class?" Tu Din burst out laughing, his voice hearty, "Because of the elder. I heard the school contacted Zhao Cheng, but Zhao Cheng relinquished his spot and transferred his entry to me. Big brother, give Dai Thursday an entry too. This year the school's representatives for the training camp are all here." Amid the boisterous chatter, Wang Duet and Thuong Mok Thursday gave off tense vibes. They looked at each other with unfriendly eyes, as if disliking one another. Feng Du, newly joined, quickly blended into Nin Feng's group, his expression relaxed as if they'd known each other for years. As for Thuong Mok Thursday, she now regarded Nin Feng as a true elder. Realizing she wasn't the only one drawn to him, she felt annoyed and resolved not to let the elder grow bored. She quietly redoubled her efforts, even preparing a gift for Nin Feng, waiting for the right moment to give it. Seeing the top talents gathered around Nin Feng, their classmates couldn't help but feel jealous. They whispered among themselves, wondering why Nin Feng had such close ties to the supernova roster. Excluding Nin Feng, this lineup would be considered prestigious at any high school nationwide. A few sighed, wishing it were them conversing with those people. Surrounded by the sudden lively atmosphere, Nin Feng felt both strange and intrigued. But one question lingered in his mind: what made Zhao Cheng give up? Didn't anyone care about his disappearance? At Zhao Cheng's home, his father still kept sending people to search. But so far there had been no clue. He didn't want to involve the police, instead quietly contacting a powerful expert to assist the investigation. Principal Thuong thought to himself that news about Zhao Cheng would likely surface soon. He had arranged for Zhao Cheng to take long leave, using the excuse that he needed to join special training. Though regretting the lost spot in the training camp, he didn't press further. After hearing the report, he personally went to Zhao Cheng's room to inspect. "Those with nothing to do, don't disturb me," he ordered, his gaze cold. Entering the room, he slowly scanned each corner and stopped before Zhao Cheng's paintings hanging on the wall. When he placed his hand on one painting, a hidden door suddenly appeared, leading into another room. The space inside was hazy and eerie, like a miniature secret zone. Back in class, Nin Feng met Feng Du for the first time. He didn't hesitate to take out a skill book and place it in Nin Feng's hands. Summon Water Elemental, a precious summoning spell. Nin Feng knew well that the summoner mage was an extremely rare profession, and skill books like that were so expensive they were hard to find. Seeing that, Thuong Mok Thursday frowned slightly, her heart uneasy. She had intended to give her gift to Nin Feng first, but Feng Du had been quicker. Not willing to lose, she hurriedly took out the gift she'd long prepared and handed it to Nin Feng. A secondary skill book for the Demon Blade of Sorcery, a combat mage profession equally rare. Such books were nearly impossible to buy on the market. Nin Feng held the 2 books, his eyes sparkling, but he knew he couldn't learn them right away. First he needed to go to the second wild secret zone to level up. Unexpectedly, when he arrived, he found the secret zone required a team challenge with a minimum of 5 people. Lacking prior intelligence, Nin Fong had to leave disappointed, unable to unlock the new skill bars. Still, the 2 skill books excited him. He also realized he needed to recruit a few people to build a reliable intelligence network. After thinking it over, Nin Fong smiled sincerely at Feng Du and Thuong Mok Thursday. "I'm very grateful for your kindness." He produced a return gift, 40 high experience elixirs, splitting them evenly so each received 20. Thuong Mok Thursday was stunned. She had heard these elixirs were the exclusive treasures of the Thuong Diet Guild, reserved for favored internal members. Feng Du couldn't hide his surprise either, knowing these elixirs were costly and rare, hard to buy even at auction. He hadn't expected Nin Fong to generously give 40 bottles. Both silently resolved to cling tightly to his golden thigh. Not only them, Wang Duyet also brought a gift for Nin Fong that day, a new medicinal concoction created by Tu Noi, which she asked to be delivered to him. At the villa, as Nin Fong had just stepped inside, Duan asked curiously, "Why are you home so early today?" Nin Fong replied casually, "All trainees can arrange their own schedules, and since the school has nothing going on, I came back early." Hearing that, Duan felt a twinge of unease. A week had passed since Nin Fong mentioned the demon special training, yet he hadn't brought it up again. He wondered inwardly if the elder had forgotten about it. At that moment, Nin Fong unexpectedly produced a vial that Wang Duyet had just given and handed it to Duan. It was a new tonic Tu Noi had recently perfected, called Restorative Elixir. It can heal long-accumulated injuries in the body. "You drink 1 bottle first, then we'll begin the demon training." Upon hearing this, Duan immediately brightened, eyes shining. "Thank you, elder, for all your effort." Without hesitation, he opened it and drank the vial. As soon as he swallowed, Duan felt an unusual warmth spread through his body, more comfortable than ever, as if all fatigue had melted away. Seeing Duan so thrilled, Nin Fong smiled in satisfaction. Indeed, it was a good medicine. From the last time he was hit by the sealing spell, he'd sustained some internal injuries. Drinking 1 vial almost fully restored him. He immediately shifted his tone, eyes sharp. It was time for the demon training. "Duan, don't be nervous. Follow my instructions, and if you ever feel you can't endure it, tell me at once." Nin Fong activated the reversal sight skill, his eyes flashing as if piercing through Duan's body. He quickly discovered that thanks to the restorative elixir, Duan's lungs were gradually recovering, but the internal injuries accumulated from overloading his energy skill remained. The lung damage caused strength to drop by 2%, stamina by 2%, and skill effectiveness to fall by 11%. After analyzing, Nin Fong bluntly pointed out the weaknesses. First, the energy overload skill wasn't suitable for him, it only worsened the lungs' damage. Second, he was combining skills incorrectly. You can't pair Taming Moon Lure with Ruin Star Surge, yet he used them repeatedly out of habit. Hearing Nin Fong's analysis, Duan was startled and secretly admired the elder's keen perception that saw through all his problems. The special training officially began. The monsters in this course were far from simple, and a single blow was enough to injure Duan. Still, he gritted his teeth and said firmly, "I can still fight." Nin Fong secretly exhaled in relief. Luckily he'd tested this skill on the test subjects earlier, so it hadn't damaged Duan's consciousness. Though the pain was unavoidable, the training's results seemed significant. Duan gritted his teeth and forced himself to stand. Long thought that only the elder could make him stronger, and he absolutely could not disappoint him. With burning determination, he readied himself to plunge into the special training with an all-out fighting spirit. This time Duan faced the monster with astonishing agility, not only easily dodging its strikes. He flashed back like lightning and delivered a cold, precise slash. The blade gleamed, carrying devastating damage, sending the monster off in an instant. Although bruised and battered, Duan remained eager, his eyes bright and voice excited. Someone to carry him through to the next trial. To Lam standing beside him shook her head slightly and replied, "There is no next trial. The monster information you provided is all there is." Hearing he'd cleared everything, Duan was moved to tears. He collapsed to the ground, breathing heavily and asked, "Elder, does that mean I succeeded?" Old Feng, witnessing this, couldn't hide his excitement and silently admired it. Only half a month and the elder had trained a 4th-tier adventurer to this level. It was miraculous. He murmured, our administration must establish good relations with this mysterious elder. But old Feng suddenly suffered a violent headache, which left To Lam worried. She feared his body couldn't withstand the strain. Seeing this, old Feng sighed and reassured her, don't worry, being a heterodox like me and living to this age is already quite good. Though he said that, To Lam still clearly understood his condition. She knew that sending his grandson Feng Du to Chengdu City to study was an act of entrustment. To Lam asked softly, Old Feng, do you think the elder has a way to only delay the recurrence of the dark power? But Old Feng merely waved his hand indifferently, we'll deal with that later, right now I must take Duan to participate in the secret zone trial. At the Thuong Diet Guild, representatives from the 7 great guilds had gathered to welcome Old Feng and Duan. Before long, the two appeared, stepping out of a travel axis with imposing bearing. Seeing Old Feng and Duan, Luan Chan of the Oi Vu Guild and the heads of the 7 great guilds immediately approached and respectfully greeted them. Duan looked at them, knowing these people were 5th-tier experts or nearing 5th tier, even his master had never managed to make such figures appear together. He thought inwardly that only a divine manifestation could cause such a stir. Only the elder remained unhurried when facing the divine manifestation. Truly befitting the elder, he thought. Among the crowd, Ha Su Vu, a practitioner who had just broken through to the 5th transmission, frowned with displeasure. He wondered why he should kowtow to welcome a 4th-tier adventurer like Duan. Old Feng's mystique was nonsense. If he had something, he should say it plainly. And those hypocrites who took people's secret zones as bribes and then ran to make connections, what a disgrace. Despite these thoughts, Ha Su Vu swallowed them and followed, he couldn't refuse. At the entrance to the secret zone trial, everyone had already assembled. Ha Su Vu spoke with a hint of formality, everyone wanted to witness a powerhouse's demeanor, we hope you can give us a chance to observe directly through the secret zone's formation. Duan shrugged and replied tersely, if you want to watch, then watch. He wasn't bothered, he even wanted to show off. The group immediately prepared their phones, ready to record the full scene of Duan's upcoming battle. They whispered, is that mysterious elder on the other end of the phone? Is there a way to coax him into appearing on camera? We should build a relationship, but if we anger him, the outcome will be disastrous. At the villa, Nin Fong sat leisurely, nibbling his meal while casually glancing through his phone. His phone suddenly vibrated with a notification that Duan's secret zone trial was about to begin. Nin Fong looked at the notice and thought to himself, it started quickly. In the secret zone trial, Duan had entered the fray, a single sharp sword strike left everyone agape. His mobility was astonishingly fast, far exceeding the speed of the guild leaders by several times. No one could believe Duan was only 4th tier, in the blink of an eye he broke through to level 50, surpassing the guild leaders' records. Before him stood the final boss of the secret zone, brutal in appearance and overwhelming in presence. Yet Duan faced it with an unflinching expression. Everyone expected a fierce battle, but to their surprise, with a single move Duan defeated the boss in an instant. The wind stopped, the space fell silent, and a notification rang out, congratulations on passing the trial. The event unfolded so quickly the crowd couldn't react in time. Duan had succeeded. Suddenly a dazzling light flashed. Along with the notice, Duan received the favor of the divine manifestation. The first clear reward was a godly sealing spell. Hearing this, the crowd was stunned. A godly sealing spell. They couldn't understand why the favor would be a sealing spell. The most furious now was Ha Su Vu. He ground his teeth and cursed inwardly, damn it, this is my secret zone, the first clear reward should have been mine. He was bitter, Duan had taken the chance, leaving later participants no hope of receiving that reward. But it didn't end there, another notification sounded. Checking showed the adventurer's profession wasn't complete, so he couldn't learn the sealing spell.